But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0,
doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Well, good evening. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're going to go a little Gaia hypothesis. Now, this is one I heard back in college, and I thought it was endlessly fascinating because it's about a self-regulating system. It's about an idea that we are just part of this larger aspect of not just the planet itself, but a larger level consciousness that recognizes when it's sick, that recognizes its own can recognize its own illness, and even to some degree correct the illnesses itself. Now, I say itself because I'm talking about an entity, and the entity, of course, is planet Earth. Now, what does that mean? It's complicated. As usual, a lot of the ideas we talk about are complicated and weird and wild and wonderful and funky and all the things that come along with it. So just remember, as part of these ideas go, it is just ideas. There's no truth to be found here, just ideas. And if you're looking for truth, you're in the wrong place. That's that. All the disclaimers do apply. Now, I was going through some of these ideas to formulate a show because I want to find something interesting, something we kind of haven't covered too much in the past. I don't like to retread stuff, but we've covered so much. It's been almost 1,100 episodes or something. Who knows how many we threw away? So we're way up there in terms of ground we've covered, and it's a wild thing to kind of be in the spot of, so what now? Well, here's one that we've never talked about, and you may like this. I hope you like this. I like this. This is from livescience.com, and this is recently. This is just published 2 days ago. And if you've seen this or seen sort of the effects of this, the downwind effects of the wolves being returned to Yellowstone, you might go, this is a very interesting concept as part of it. Let me read a little bit of the article to you. This is wild. The headline reads this: Return of wolves to Yellowstone has led to a surge in aspen trees unseen for 80 years. Okay. Very innocuous start here, but that's just the beginning of the sort of a ripple effect of the return of these wolves to the ecosystem. Check it out, straight from the article. Yellowstone's wolves are helping a new generation of young aspen trees to grow tall and join the forest canopy. the first new generation of such trees in Yellowstone's northern range in 80 years. Gray wolves, we've talked about them in the past, of course, in terms of the dire wolf, which we can kind of retread a little bit tonight as part of it, because imagine a dire wolf in this same circumstance. But anyway, Canis lupus, the gray wolf, had disappeared from Yellowstone National Park by 1930, following extensive habitat loss, human hunting, and government eradication programs. Human meddling once again, right? Without these top predators, populations of elk grew unfettered. At their peak population, an estimated 18,000 elk ranged across the park, chomping on grasses and shrubs, as well as the leaves, twigs, and bark of trees like quaking aspen. This stopped saplings from establishing themselves, and surveys in the 90s found no aspen saplings. None. Zero in the 90s, okay? Zero. Quote, you had older trees and then nothing underneath, Luke Painter, an ecologist at Oregon State University and lead author of the new study, told Live Science. But then, wolves were reintroduced in 1995, and the picture began to change. As wolf numbers rose, the elk population in the park dropped sharply, and it is now down to about 2,000. So the elk population, up from 18,000, reintroduced the apex predator into the ecosystem itself, and now the elk are down to 2,000, that's a lot of elk that have been eaten or, again, not allowed to thrive and grow as they were, sort of unfettered. However, suddenly everything else starts to change. Not just the system here of the aspen trees, but also the beavers started to flourish, and many other aspects of Yellowstone started to change just because they reintroduced, and it was not that many wolves. It was like 20 or 30. I'll find it exactly here. I got links to in the description if you want to read up on more of this. I think it was 14 the first time they actually reintroduced them. Now, the question comes as part of this is that, do you think we should tamper with this at all? First off, we did tamper with it by sort of eradicating the wolf population from Yellowstone to start. We were instrumental in that. These government programs, hunt the wolves down, you get money for, or gold or whatever it was, silver for a wolf pelt. So we were incentivized to eradicate them because, of course, they were attacking livestock and other stuff. They were deemed a nuisance, problematic. But once they do this, suddenly everything changes. Every damn thing changes. And so we meddled with it, which changed the entire ecosystem of Yellowstone Park. But then beyond that, we remeddled with it by reintroducing these wolves into the ecosystem itself. You see what I'm saying? And so the question for you guys tonight is this. I'm thinking about this in terms of the Gaia hypothesis. Now, the Gaia hypothesis is, as I described, the Earth is a self-regulating entity. It is sort of its own quasi-consciousness and maybe even alive. And do you think things like this could possibly make the Earth ill, cause some sort of sickness to the Earth itself? And what does our meddling do in sort of these larger cascades of an ecosystem? Because look, Yellowstone Park is one thing, but we live in the larger world where that's just a part of the larger world, as are we, except humans dominate the planet, certain parts of the planet. I would not argue that humans dominate the Amazon rainforest. However, you get my point. And so the question really becomes twofold. Number one, do you believe in the Gaia hypothesis? Do you think the Earth is actually a self-regulating entity of some sort? Two, what larger cascade effects happen as part of something like this? If 20 wolves or 30 wolves or just a very small group of these wolves can change so much in one small space, I mean, Yellowstone's really big, but a smaller-esque space in terms of the larger whole, what are humans doing? Are we making the Earth sick itself? And how do we stop this? And not to be doomer or mean or mad or any of that stuff. Like I said, you know me, I'm a glass half full type of guy. But I'm seeing these memes go around where it says things like nature is healing, okay? And they'll have these young tweens, children playing old school musical instruments, not doing AI music or, ripping beats on their laptop. They're actually playing, they're playing guitars and bass and they're singing and they're talented, and it is so pure and it is so wonderful. And indeed, you got to wonder in moments like that, is nature itself actually healing? And so there's the glass half full part of this, because surely we've overstepped in some degree. How do we fix it? And do you believe any of that stuff I said is remotely true? Because, of course, I don't know what to think. I do know this experiment with the wolves has taught us a lot about the ripple effects of entities within an ecosystem, but we're just talking about this national park. What about the larger Earth itself? And is it possible that Gaia, as the Gaia entity, can become ill? That's what's on my mind tonight. I hope you guys are doing well. I'll come say hi in a moment at the bottom of the hour. Sorry, I ran out of time. When I'm reading about this stuff, it just I get lost in these rabbit holes of, well, what about this? What about that? And so I end up reading a bunch of stuff, and then I take a little too long. So I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about this so I can bring you good information. Anyway, be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in exactly 1 minute. Love to hear your thoughts on this as usual. We're taking your calls on all the places, as you would expect. I'll tell you about that when we get back. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute.
In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes.
If you haven't checked out that track, I'd appreciate it if you do. Again, a good friend paid to sponsor the show. Let's show some love and go check out Alien Skin by Tremble on iTunes. I'd appreciate that very much, guys. If you have not yet, I know some of you have. Please go check it out. As you heard, the song playing in the back was, of course, the song we were talking about. Now back to this. This is from GreaterYellowstone.org, and these links are in the description if you want to check it out. Like I said, there's a really bizarre cascade effect to this, but I just want to do a quick timeline. They've got a nice timeline. 1872, Yellowstone is created as the first national park. 1884, the state of Montana institutes a wolf bounty. 1884, right? Trappers receive $1 per wolf killed. 1914 to 1926, wolves are considered a decided menace to the herds of elk, deer, mountain sheep, and antelope, and concerted efforts to exterminate them were mounted. At least 136 wolves are killed in Yellowstone National Park. The 40s to 70s, wolf pack sightings are rarely reported in Yellowstone. Observations of wolf-like canids, mostly singles and pairs, are reported intermittently. Almost hunted them to extinction in the space. It's believed wolves are almost completely eradicated in the lower 48. In the 70s, an intensive survey finds no evidence of a resident wolf population in Yellowstone, although individuals likely pass through. Well, if I didn't find any of my brethren there, and it seemed spooky as if they were hunted to extinction, I might not hang around either. Anyway, 1974, the gray wolf is listed under the Endangered Species Act of 1973. Yada, yada, all the things you would expect. The 80s, wolves reestablished breeding packs in northwest Montana. 1991, Congress directs the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to prepare a draft of Elemental Impact Statement, the EIS, on wolf recovery in Yellowstone. 1994, the Environment Impact Statement is completed for the reintroduction of wolves into central Idaho and Yellowstone National Park. It happens, 1995, January. 2 shipments of wolves arrive in Yellowstone National Park from Canada, totaling 14 wolves. The wolves are transferred to 3 acclimation pens near the Crystal, Rose, and Soda Butte creeks in the park to attune their homing tendencies, so they stay in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem once released. March 95, the gates of Crystal and Rose Peak pens are opened, and a fence is created by biologists to encourage the wolves to leave. By March 31st, all of the wolves in those pens have made their way into Yellowstone National Park. Now, January 96, another 17 wolves, blah, blah, blah. So the present. Since the reintroduction, the wolves have established themselves back in the ecosystem. The number of wolves in packs has ebbed and flowed over the years, but the population currently hovers around a stable 90 to 110 wolves within the park. Approximately 500 are present throughout the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. Wolves are again asserting a positive influence on the ecosystem by playing a critical role as ecosystem engineers in Yellowstone's natural processes and bringing an estimated $83 million to the park's gateway communities through wildlife watching. Now, that's a weird way to measure this. But anyway, you see how suddenly this, from 1872 to the present, we meddled like hell with this space. And of course, it changed the larger, that Gaia sickness, as I'm describing. It just became unbalanced. Okay. Now, the weird part, I'm calling this tonight, as you know me, I like to get weird. So we're going to get weird because what the hell, right? I'm calling it spirits in the soil, teeth in the dream. Now, that'll make sense in a minute here, but basically that. And if you look at some of these links I've also dropped below, it's wild to consider that not just, let's say, rivers reestablished, shout out our friend Rivers, shout out Rivers, as part of this, because the beaver population started to thrive because of these aspen trees that are food and also fuel for the dams they built. So they were fortifying the rivers and changing the ecosystem itself, the land itself, because of the natural resources available, because they didn't have the overgrazing of elk. Okay. You see how suddenly everything starts to become this different place as a result of this apex predator really kind of put back into this. And this is one of the ones that's wild to me. So perhaps the most astonishing change was the rivers themselves. Shout out Rivers. As vegetation anchored the banks, soil erosion slowed dramatically. Willow and cottonwood roots held soil in place, narrowing and deepening the streams. The water flowed more steadily, with less sediment clouding its path. Beavers' dams created pools and wetlands, further stabilizing water flow. This shift wasn't just cosmetic. The very shape and behavior of the river transformed, illustrating how predators can literally reshape the earth beneath our feet. And there's a fantastic write-up on this. Again, this is from Discover Wild Science, talking about all the different ways that this one ecosystem was impacted by about a population of 100 wolves reintroduced. Now, like I said, it's an incredible thing to think that 100 individuals in this granted large space, Yellowstone's a big place, could change all of these things simply by their presence, simply by their predation habits, simply by reintroducing balance into that larger Gaia hypothesis. Now, with me, you know me, like I said, I like to get weird. Let me check my notes here, make sure we're on pace for what I want to say. And yeah, so that's where this begins. As the larger context of this, the Gaia hypothesis, it's very clear that small changes can turn an entire ecosystem upside down. Now think about humans in that same context. What have we done to the world? Again, we meddled with Yellowstone to make this happen initially, and then we remeddled to sort of bring back that equilibrium. So we think. So I'm suggesting. I don't really know, because who really knows what an ecological equilibrium would look like? It's been debated for decades at least, and it will continue to be debated forever. But okay, so here we go. So Yellowstone rewilding, wolves reintroduced, elk behavior change, aspen trees regrow, rivers stabilized. Shout out Rivers. So yeah, so and this is called a trophic cascade. When again something happens in the ecosystem that changes so many different things, kind of downwind of the initial aspect, the wolves in this case. Now, but the question I have again regarding the Gaia hypothesis, and we'll get to that at the bottom of the hour, but as usual, I'd love to hear you guys instead. But check it out. So is there something deeper happening here with that, the entity known as Gaia herself? That becomes the wild part of this, because not only is this effect proven here, that things can change. Again, the rivers themselves deepened, changed course because of the beavers and all the rest of the stuff, because of the trees and the elk, and the trophic cascade is part of this. But what else changed when the wolves came back? And why does it feel in this case more than just ecology? And that's exactly the point of this. And like I said, I've been reading about this for a very long time, and on and off, and I was fascinated by this happening, this entire thing. And we're still probably just measuring this. This is brand new. We'll probably still be measuring this 100 or 200 years in the future in terms of what this ecosystem becomes as part of the return of the wolves to this space, right? Now, the other thing that got me thinking about this was that it seems like equilibrium is necessary, let's say an apex predator and sort of that fear of the tooth. That's why I'm calling it this tonight. I'll explain this in a second here. I'll explain it right now. So spirits in the soil, teeth in the dream. Now, teeth in the dream comes from basically that apex predator. Like the forest is no longer safe. You're out there and there's a pack of wolves. There are several packs, 3 different packs of wolves that you might get caught up in and, dispatched and maybe made a meal of. And so suddenly it brings a terror like that primordial terror to the Force, like we talked about when it comes to the actual reintroduction of these larger, what would you call them? The dire wolf, right? The dire wolf is part of this. Now, follow me on this and see if this makes some sense. Pliny the Liberator posted this, and I was thinking about it in terms of the wolves. So to me, this is the most beautiful quote from the first Matrix. Agent Smith says, "Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world, where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost." Now, of course, he's talking about crops as people. People were the crops of the Matrix. They were the batteries that powered that secondary post-human collapse aspect of the machines, okay? So entire crops were lost. That was people. So our mind rejected the idea of a perfect harmony, of actual no suffering, and let's call it a synthetic equilibrium. Here you go. It gets better. Some believe we lack the programming language to describe your perfect world. This is Agent Smith again from the Matrix. But I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering. Maybe. Also, maybe not. Of course, there needs to be some challenges, right? And as we're moving closer and faster into that post-labor future, post-labor economics, possibly universal basic income, which scares the hell out of me. What comes next? And is it possible to unwild the space, the entire Earth? And will we reject it collectively, as Agent Smith said happened in the first Matrix? And that's what's on my mind tonight. There's a lot of ways this kind of comes together. I'll talk about the Gaia hypothesis when we come back here, but I don't know. Do you think this stuff is real? And why is it that one tiny change like this can change everything? And look what we've done in the Industrial Revolution and all the things that have happened in the past, let's say, 200 years on Earth. What have we done? Have we made Gaia herself ill from our presence? And if so, is it possible that nature itself can return? Nature is healing, is what the actual meme goes like. And, there's a lot of wholesome ways to consider that as, yes, indeed. But of course, us meddling with it in the first place is what made it ill. So I don't know. What's your take on this? Do you believe in the Gaia hypothesis? And as we get into this and back to where we started, I call it spirits in the soil, teeth in the dream. And you know me, one of my favorite theories is the primordial nature spirit, the will-o'-the-wisp, the sentient plasma entity that's been here forever, before humans were a twinkle in evolution's eye. And maybe they're still here in some way, actually guiding us through these ecological disasters or showing us the way by proving we can fix what we broke before. But also, philosophically, is there ever any going back? Can you fix what has been broken ecologically? Or nah? Lots on my mind tonight. I'm saving the weird stuff for later. We're going to get weird. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Spirits in the soil, teeth in the dream. And why is it that in the terms of the Matrix, we rejected pure harmony, synthetic equilibrium? Why is it that we have a sixth sense within us, within our intuition that describes that, notices that, and rejects it outright? Does that sound like human nature to you? I'm not sure what it sounds like, but I do know that there's something stirring, not just in nature, but of course, with the machines themselves. So when these ideas come together, what does it look like? What else do you know about these wolves reintroduced? Anything else wild that we should consider as part of the reintroduction of a long-forgotten species? Yeah, that's what's on my mind tonight. Got lots more to get to. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. I don't know. As usual, no answers from me, just more questions. And when you start to look at these larger concepts of ecosystems and how we impact it, how do we make it perfect? Is it possible? One more time, 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. That's the right button.
In the dark woods, nature's heart beats strong. Mysteries whisper low, with the night all around. Return of the wolves brings the silence to life, healing Gaia's soul, where wild spirits roam. Hear the howl tonight, echo through the trees. Gaia's son revive, brothers by her side. Footprints on the path, a dance of blood and bone. Hunter and the hunted, the rhythms of the earth. Life weaves through the night, wild calls pierce the sky. Restoration in sight as wolves claim their throne. Hear the howl tonight, echo through the trees. Gaia's son revive, the brothers by her side. Balance returns anew in the moon's silver light. Freedom lost now found, in shadows we unite. Hear the howl tonight, echo through the trees. Gaia's son revive, with brothers by her side.
All right. It ended it properly. What's up, Matt? Sal APOC is here. What's up, Jacob Harsher Boy? How are you? Jib Chisla. What's going on, my man? Love the name. We got, who is this? My goodness gracious. This is Chef Pete. What's up, Chef Pete? Chef Pete's up first. We got Kelly coming up next. Thanks for raising your hand and being part of the conversation. He told me he'd call. He said I'll be there. Thanks for being part of it. What's up, Daryl Sweets, JJ Herschel, Sonia is a bot, Molly, the Quantum, and Lily in Australia. I see ya. Kelly's up next after Chef Pete. What's going on, guys? If I missed you, just say hi in the chat, and I'll say hi back. And Tan Line says, cool topic. Just found the term trophic cascade in reference to Yellowstone. Exactly, right? To the top. Gordo got first on Rumble. What's up? Puff is here. Good evening, guys. Hello. If I missed anybody, like I said, say hi. I'll say hi back. Cubs Future, Tan Lines. I see you guys. Good evening, Raz. What's up? What is up? Let's see. Scroll. Good. Do I not have? Oh, I don't have the YouTube chat up. Let me see. To the show chat. What's up? We got. All right. Okay, I guess we'll go from the bottom because it's an endless scroll on Discord. What's up, Sweets? Is here. What's up, Lily? Sonia, I see ya. Quantum. Who else? Mr. Mission Control. What's happening, folks? Mirror Person, how are you? Good evening. Hello. Let's see. Booma, what's going on? Need to fix yourselves first. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Butterfly effect for predators. Exactly right. Quantum is here. Good evening. If I missed you, I'll circle back. Celia's here. How you doing? Okay. Fred, of course. Be right back. More Troubled Minds in exactly 5 seconds. Here we go. All right. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand on the Underground Media Network. Tonight, what if the return of the wolves wasn't just ecological recovery, but a planetary ritual? An ancient defense mechanism reactivated to purge spiritual infection, of course, in the Gaia hypothesis. Could the Earth itself summon predators as antibodies, relight geomantic circuits, and drive out unseen parasites through mythic pattern alone? And if that's true, what else is still capable of remembering? And of course, what we're describing is that primordial memory
of an ancient equilibrium, which feels like we're always trying to get back to in some capacity. However, I think it's, in a modern world, I think that idea of equilibrium in nature is going to be a challenge. You guys have seen the versions of like Star Wars Coruscant, where the planet is just nothing but skyscrapers that go into the clouds. Yeah, I feel like we're, you think that world feels like there's a natural equilibrium with its predator-prey relationships and the plant life and all the flora and fauna to mention. I don't know. Anyway, so what do you know about the Gaia hypothesis? What do you know about these wolves reintroduced to Yellowstone? And what does it mean for the larger context of this trophic cascade? Because clearly if this can happen in Yellowstone, what about us? What level of trophic cascade do we actually implement on planet Earth herself? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Chef Pete, what's up, brother? Welcome to the joint. Thanks for listening for so long.
Hey,
Thanks for popping in.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Me?
Yeah, loud and clear. You sound great. Welcome to the joint. What's on your mind? Go right ahead.
Thanks. So this is what I'm thinking. I look at wolves on land as the sharks of the sea. Sharks with a sea without sharks is a dead sea. And I feel like a land without wolves is a dead land. Everything keeps everything in a balance, and you need that. You need that. And as far as we're concerned, we just play in something that they've let us do. That's really how I feel. The wolves really being introduced to Yellowstone, they're keeping that balance, and the sharks in the sea are keeping that balance as well. And I feel like it's very important that we all try to play in the right sandbox.
Yeah, it's an interesting aspect of it too, and I wonder. Sort of, I talk about those control mechanisms that mess with humans in general, and so our sandbox would be what? I mean, stick to the cities seems very dystopian. It seems very, a New World Order 2030 type stuff. What's that? Agenda 2030. But then also, I can see a future where we do turn into that Coruscant alien planet where it's nothing but skyscrapers that reach the clouds all over the damn planet. I mean, there's got to be a way here. And, we're trying. Clearly, there's people working very hard on this because we have to be able to figure this out in some way, some actual way that works for everybody and everything. Because as you see, again, the incredible part that the rivers changed because of the beavers, and the beavers are now flourishing and changing the actual landscape of Yellowstone. It's an incredible thing here that we never dreamed would happen, but we're seeing it before our very eyes as sort of this ecological experiment, which is all of it's incredibly wild to me. And I've been wanting to talk about it for a long time. But what do you think about the Gaia hypothesis itself? Do you think there is something to that self-regulating organism as like a larger entity? Does that make sense, or does that seem too pseudoscience for you?
No. I think it totally makes sense. What I think is the world is going to take care of itself. And we're just playing a part in it. And I really mean that. And something else is going to come along, and they may take over, or something may evolve and that might take over. And we will either have to adapt and change, hopefully, or we will have to, I don't know, go to Mars or some shit. Sorry. I didn't mean to curse.
No, you're good. Yeah. And that becomes like a very interesting side note as part of this, because that's kind of what we're being told in the, the bubbling in the zeitgeist is like, well, if we screw this one up, there's always Mars, which is like, that's a lousy plan B, guys. Can we stop saying that? Can we just stop? Not you. I mean, the powers that be suggesting that's the case. It's a wild thing to say.
No, and it's a terrible plan. What I would love to do is make this place right. But I don't know that that's going to happen. And I don't think that Mars is the answer either. And I don't know if aliens are gonna come and save us either. So I'm just saying, like, we need to take care of the animal population. We need to make sure that, you know, they're getting taken care of. The wolves are getting taken care of. The sea needs to be taken care of, because without the sea, the whole thing could go to hell in a handbasket. And that's where really I'm at on it.
Yeah, I think so. And as usual, right, we have a terrible habit of waiting way too long to kind of fix some of these things that are obvious and need to be changed now. For other shiny objects, and I won't get into the climate catastrophe and all the stuff they're always telling us about, cloud seeding and all this other wild stuff that is literally happening when there are obvious issues like you said, plastic in the ocean. There's so many things that are destroying like the largest ecosystem on the planet, which would be the ocean itself. And I wonder, once again, through this idea of a trophic cascade, what happens when, as you described, maybe all the sharks do die? The trophic cascade, of course, will come to the land because there is a place where those ecosystems overlap. There are places that are highly dependent on commercial fishing, not just for money but for food. It's just a wild thing to think that every little thing we do on this planet will have these cascading effects that are immeasurable, sometimes for centuries. And so, as usual, I think we should just be a little more careful when we make decisions. And we should be vocal as hell when something obviously is happening and they're breaking the earth in front of us that, is a politically expedient thing in the moment. What else you got? Thanks for listening. Again, so just real quick, Pete here has been listening for a very long time to Troubled Minds and popped into the Discord recently and was like, hey, thanks. I've been listening for a while. I'll call in one of these days. And Pete lives in Georgia and is a chef. That's all we know about him. That's all we need to know about him. And a longtime listener, first-time caller, I appreciate that very much. Anything to add about Troubled Minds in general, or the wolves, or the trophic cascade, or what else you got for us, my man?
Man, I've been loving all the episodes. I went back and did some folklore episodes. I listened to some werewolf episodes, some D&D episodes. I'm a big D&Der, so that's always fun. I've just been really loving it, and I'm happy to be a part of the community.
Glad to have you. Appreciate the call. You're welcome back anytime. Now that you know where to find us, the Discord's pretty easy, right? You figured it out. A very first shot, one-time shot, and you're in.
Yeah, like second time, but yeah.
Right on. Fair enough. At least in this community, first time in here. Appreciate the call. You're welcome back anytime. And I think you're absolutely right. It's incumbent on us to make sure we demand better, as I always say. And of course, with the ecosystem itself, it's everything. If we screw it up, we're screwed too. Pete, pleasure meeting you finally. Go ahead.
I think we've already screwed it up, but I think we can repair it enough for a few generations to come.
I also believe so, because if we and this is my take on most of that stuff. We got us here. We screwed it up in many ways, but it doesn't mean it's dead. It means we can fix it. We can recognize the error of our ways and correct it. It is the human way. Pleasure, brother. Thanks for being part of this. Thanks for the call, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great night. Okay.
Thanks, Michael. You too.
Appreciate it very much. There you go. That's Pete, Chef Pete in Georgia, and making friends all over the world. It's nice to hear some of the individuals who've been listening for a long time just on the podcast and hasn't really contributed to the live feed. So thank you for that. And we do have two groups, by the way. There's like the live group, right? The live shout out chat. There's the people that call, and then there's a 10 times that audience is basically the podcast feed. So there's a ton of people that listen and kind of lurk. But don't chime in too much. So pop a comment sometimes and send me a nice email. But for the most part, there's not a lot of overlap there. So thank you for again, nice to meet Pete there, and pleasure, brother. Thanks for the call and thanks for listening. We're talking the Yellowstone wolf introduction, okay, and all the different things that it changed as part of that ecosystem cascade, that trophic. What's it called? It'll come to me in a second. That's the term. It's a cool term, but basically, look, what are we doing to the planet? As humans, if just 100 wolves can change the entire complexion of Yellowstone Park itself, there's 8 billion people on the planet. And do you think that in terms of the Gaia hypothesis, we've made her sick? You think she's ill? You think she's sick of us? I don't know. I'll give it a good solid maybe. That's my take. But what do you think? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Kelly in Colorado. Thanks for being patient, my man. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? Go right ahead.
Good evening, Michael. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. I was waiting for the you to bring my energy down. Always chilling. I talk too fast until you show up, and then it slows me down, which is fantastic. Welcome to the joint. How are you, sir? Welcome. What's on your mind? Go right ahead.
Hold on. Let me move to the other room real quick.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all.
All right, good. So this is a good show tonight. I mean, this kind of based on some topics that I've talked about before, but like with Gaia, right? So, I mean, I believe that it is what we're talking about, kind of, you know. So what I look at too is like I can actually been sharing a lot of stuff, right? So you have a lot of like animals going extinct, right? But then years later they start showing up. I mean, they just start popping back up, right? Like I've showed some videos where it was a bird they were looking for. It was in this jungle, right? And I think it was like in Papua New Guinea or something. But I mean, they were amazed to even see the picture of it because it was supposed to be been extinct for like 30, 40 years, right? But what's interesting is that you find all these animals out, or like, you know, it doesn't matter, like insects or what. Like, so is Gaia like remaking these things? You know, are these things popping up out of caves? We're able to see these things again because it's fixing its own ecosystem, right? I mean, you have, for example, like, so the Tatanka, right? The buffalo, right? The buffalo were running the plains all the time, right? And at the time, before all the settlers came in, right? You know, all the buffalo, they were eating all the prairie grass, the big, tall prairie grass, right? That's what they would eat. That's most of the stuff that they were eating. And these prairie grass, you know, once they were lowered to the ground, but they had root systems that were, you know, that were like almost 6 feet long. And when the industrial farming came around, you know, they started ripping all that stuff, killed all the buffalo, ripped all that stuff up, and then guess what happened? You know, we started having all those dust bowls, right? All those ancient dust bowls, because they were replacing all those deep roots that the old prairie grass had with, you know, like industrial farming, where the roots didn't even go down that far. So, I mean, stuff like that, you know, you could look back in history and see some of that stuff, right? So, like, for example, you see a lot of now, so maybe there was a bird that went extinct, right? Or because you're starting to find a lot of this, like, that's destroying forest everywhere, these beetles, right? The beetle kill, they call it. Here in Colorado, you have a lot of that stuff, too, going on, right? So, I mean, there's got to be a predator to every creature on the planet, right? That's what we know, because they always want something bigger, right? Bigger and badder. But, you find that Mother Nature, she's going to fix herself all the time, right? It might take her a little bit of time, but, you know, I mean, we don't even need to actually even add anything to it, I don't believe. I mean, because we're like, example, you hear about those radiations that are over, like in Chernobyl, right? They're worried about all the Chernobyl, all the radiation there. And now they're finding out there's mushrooms that eat all the fungus that eats all the radiation over there, right? I mean, yes, you can plant like plants like hemp, straight industrial hemp, and that'll actually clear out a lot of radiation in there. It'll filter all the radiation out of the ground. And in the air, the vibrational frequency of the plant actually goes against the radiation frequency. So you can do all kinds of stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like planting, like the Japanese guy, he was the scientist that was finding that out. And that's why they were planting that stuff around Chernobyl before, you know, it hit Japan. So that's what they were doing there now. But you can also use stuff like now what we use for like some of our gardening. We don't set it like sprays. I buy a lot of ladybugs, right? And right now I'm thinking about buying some bat boxes to get rid of a lot of these insects around. For the place I just moved at, you know what I mean? There's a lot of farming here, so there's a lot of insects at night. You can use a lot of chemicals or whatnot, but I'd rather prefer like, you know, bringing something that brings dragonflies, plants, you know, you can bring, you know, put plants there where dragonflies come in, or you can, you know, like bats, you know, get a bat box and they attract the bats to the, you know, they live up in there and you can control pests that way. Or there's a lot of birds here too, you know, where I'm at. They like right in my front yard. There's a big tree, pine tree in there, and so there's a ton of them there. But yeah, man, I believe that she's be able to fix herself. I mean, and that's why you get like old volcanoes, earthquakes. I mean, we look at, you know, back in the past, right, and you see that like lands that are sunk into the oceans, right, or like they say like on in the Middle East, some of the places where they were all lush, you know what I mean, like in Babylon and stuff, like the hanging plants, you know what I mean. But now you look at it now and it's all desert. Like how could that happen? That's because she fixes herself, you know what I mean. Whether, you know, we're actually helping out, you know, not doing it due diligence to it, right? You know what I mean. As human, as living creatures of this planet, we're doing a very shady job right now.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of studies that have been done in many different ways that we could implement some of this stuff. And like you're describing, there are natural ways to combat some of the, you know, nuisance. The bat box in particular that you brought up. Now, when I was young, I spent a lot of time up in Northern California, right on the Oregon border. And it just beautiful up there. Absolutely sort of that idea of the primordial forest. And, you know, don't go too far and get spun around because you could get lost. I mean, we were lucky to be in a valley, so you could kind of easily find your way around. But beyond that, right, you kind of venture a little bit north into Oregon and you could get lost. But the reason I bring it up is because they had this tall light pole that was out there at night. We'd be out there at night kind of kicking it. And there's so many bugs just swirling around this thing. And there were so many bats. Like it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like hundreds of bats and thousands of bugs swirling around this light pole, like in this big like vortex. It was absolutely insane. And then they had like on the other side of the house a bug zapper that was just like, this thing would like clog up in like 2 days full of bugs. Like that's how crazy it was in the summer. But it was like, again, that invisible bit. Like this is going on all the time, the world over. And some of the things you don't notice until you see them in your face at scale like that. And you're like, damn. Like some bats are eating well tonight. I mean, absolutely crazy. That's one way to handle it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've been actually I'm sitting here smiling, almost laughing, kind of imagining that happening. You know what I mean? Watching that as it unfolds, all those thousands of bugs and hundreds of bats. That's been pretty crazy to see. Yeah,
it happened every night in the summer too. Every single night you could set your watch by. It's so crazy.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you use stuff like that, you know, but like I said, it was for me, what I've been, you know, if you've been on Discord a long time, you see where sometimes I post stuff, you know, it's coming off of Facebook or like, but they're all like news ads, right? But they're talking about extinct animals, right? That are just popping up out of nowhere, you know what I mean? So that's kind of like what, you know, part of the show tonight is like, well, that's what I was thinking, like, where are these things coming out of? Caves? Or like they're just popping up, you know what I mean? Because these things are supposed to have been dead for like 60 years, 40 years, 20 years, 10 years, you know what I mean? And next thing you know, they're taking pictures of it, you know, freaking out. These animals are walking around now. But maybe it's the planet, like we've been saying, you know, that she is alive, right? Maybe is she the one creator, the creator of these animals, you know, whatever animal of this planet? You know what I mean? You might be able to kill it off for once, but it's going to come back one way or another. You know what I mean? I don't know how, but, you know, you'll see that throughout, you know, in some time, in some like news, you know, they'll plop up somewhere, you know, if you look, you'll see it, man, or you can even just Google it, or whatever, DuckDuckGo, whatever you use. But yeah, man, that excites me because it's just like mind boggling is how's that even possible? You know what I mean? You think that you'd have to have a pair, right? You got to have a mate, you know what I mean? Male, female, and then, you know, create something, but sometimes they don't even find that. They just find the one again by itself, you know, and then next you know, there's an explosion of them.
Yeah, but there's even still whispers in Australia of the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger. They say that they're out there in the bush and they're spotted here and there. And so we're told they're extinct and they're going to recreate them in the lab and then maybe reintroduce them, you know, as part of those ecosystems down there, which, I mean, I'm split on. I mean, that's cool, but you know, once again, it's meddling, but it's trying to fix the metals that we made in the past. So, I mean, like that's the point, right? Like, how do you fix it? Like, we screwed it up for sure in a lot of ways, but how do you fix it? Because if you overcorrect, And this becomes a very human thing. Well, you know, we broke that, so here's what we're going to do to overcorrect it. Then you just break it in a different way. So that becomes, as usual, that equilibrium of the Gaia hypothesis. That's intuitively we know, we feel that. But again, you know, sort of science just has its way of, you know, hey, let's make some dire wolves. Like, bro, there's a lot of other problems we need to handle before we start reintroducing the dire wolf to the. Please, right? So crazy.
Yeah, you know, for me, I kind of look at it as this though, like, okay, science, right? We can start cloning stuff, right, and then we can introduce it back to like we're like you just said. But the thing about it, like with that, I believe that would be even better than trying to do what we have done. I mean, because we've messed a lot of things up, right? So, like, you know, for instance, they had like this fish from China, right? They was trying to combat something, right? And that fish actually fixed the problem, but then they became an invasive species. So then you have invasive species everywhere, right? Now you're just tore up the whole ecosystem. So instead of doing that, right, like you said, fixing the problem, maybe cloning would be the issue. You know, it might be the fix to it. You know, I mean, not overpopulating, but given to where, you know, you regulate stuff like, you know, in Alaska, for example. When I was in Alaska, you couldn't overfish, right? You couldn't like rape the ocean. You know, everybody was limited to like, you know, sometimes it was. Unless you were like, you know, you use that for like dip netting, you know what I mean, like salmon and stuff, right? So salmon, you can like, if that's one way you're feeding your family, they would allow you to dip net. But like if you were just, you know, sports fishing or something like that, you can only take 2. And believe me, they're out there in forest up there in Alaska, you know, the Forest Service and stuff. And they don't play around up there. They'll take your truck, your RV, everything you have up there. But if you're messing around, you know, poaching and stuff, but yeah, you regulate, you know what I mean? And like sometimes, you know, just even like the Alaskan king crab, those guys are only allowed some limit, right? Because they're trying to keep the population going. So that way, you know, throughout the years, instead of just constantly raping like humans used to do, you know what I mean? There's some countries that still do that, you know, and they need to be put to a halt to some of that. But I mean, if they've been doing it, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a control now, you know what I mean? Now that we know that, you know, we can't be doing all that stuff, you know what I mean? You can't be just raping and taking like that anymore. Because, you know, again, Earth will fix herself. She always has.
Yeah, up to and including just casting us off like a bad case of fleas. Like if we're the problem, Earth will sort of adapt to us and make it hard for us. And that becomes part. Yeah. And then also, long after we're gone, recorrect herself back to that equilibrium, the natural equilibrium. And like I said, we're speaking different languages because not you and I, but humans versus the Earth, because we think we know, but in these complex systems, we don't know a damn thing. We can kind of take anecdotes and little studies here and there. But again, just these wolves in Yellowstone have changed everything in like 20 or 30, 40 years. Like imagine 200 years. The equilibrium that kind of comes back. It's a wild thing to consider, and it's welcome to the world we live in, huh? What else you got? We got about a minute left. If you got anything else, and you're welcome to stay after if you want.
Well, no, I'm just gonna finish up too, though. But like what you were saying too, like, you know, all those elk, you know, the massive herds of elk. That's what we have started having here in Colorado. So they started introducing wolves back here too. But the thing is, it's just like that, you know, like they were eating all the aspen trees, right? The young saplings. And we know that, you know, the aspen tree is more like one giant plant. So if you're going to constantly eat one area where it wants to grow, you'll never see those trees again. You know what I mean? So now you got introduced wolves. You're going to now take those, you know, limit some of that herd, keep it down to numbers, and that's how you're going to, you know, control. Because, I mean, they've noticed that in a ton of things, you know what I mean? Like the reef, the Great Barrier Reef over in Australia. I mean, they're real protective of that. You know what I mean? I have stories about that one in the Navy, but like that'd be for some other time. But yeah, man, I mean, you can see that. I mean, introducing to like these animals like that is only going to help. You know what I mean? Just like you're brought up with the dams, with the, you know, with the beavers and stuff like that. I mean, if you're over, that's what I'm saying. You can't just rape the earth and think that it's going to be all fine and dandy. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, man, good show tonight, and talk to you guys later. You guys have a good evening.
You're the best. Great call. Tell Michelle we said hi. Always a pleasure, and take care.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too. Kelly in Colorado. You know him, you love him. He's the first guy to call and then call back. Still friends years later. What do you guys think of this? I'm calling it spirits in the soil, teeth in the dream. What about the apex predator? Why is it necessary? What about the Gaia hypothesis and equilibrium itself? 702-957-1037. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere.
In a cryogenic slumber, lost in the lunar night, your face a faded number among the stars so bright. Dreams of forgotten echoes, waiting for time's command. Curtains of gray and sorrow, the lonely lunar sand. Below the moonlit skies of the love we try. Silent by your brazen souls reside, suspended in a story, kept in the cold dark tide. Our futures in the making, in a silver-edged domain, hearts kept in silent aching, till we meet once again. Below the moonlit sky of the love we try. Frozen time we're resting, waiting for dawn's embrace. Whispers of love confessing in this forgotten place. Below the moonlit sky of the love we try. With the morning glow, and the light will come to know. Below the moonlit sky of the love we try. In the depths of lunar silence, our destinies intertwine. Memories kept so vibrant in the vacuum deep in mind. The tale of cosmic yearning across the astral sea, and the fires of hope still burning for when we finally breathe free.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. Thank you for the fantastic calls to kick us off there. Kelly and Chef Pete. What's up, Ricky, Matsal, Gaston, Derek the Night Stalker, APOC, Herschel, JJ Sweets, Jib Chisla, Pete. Thanks for the call. Great stuff. Sonia Zabat. What's up, Lily, The Quantum, and Molly. We got Daryl in New York coming up next, and your calls as well if you want to be part of the conversation. Who'd I miss? I didn't get YouTube. Let's go over to YouTube. Start from the top. What's up, Lily Sweets? I see you there. What's up, Mr. Mission Control? OG Skywatch. Race is here. Need to fix yourselves first. Amen to that. What's going on, brother? Mirror Person says, love you, Mike. Thank you very, very kindly. Thanks for listening. Thanks for... Thank you. Under Nature says nature has its cycles. Making the earth mad or happy is as easy as training the wolf. 0 to no chance. Hi, everyone. Yeah, exactly. What's going on? Hope you're well tonight. Yeah, I see. Who did I miss? Scrolling down. Richard in Texas. Ecological recovery. Yes, exactly. And yeah, it's complicated. Complicated stuff is, again, Just because it's complicated doesn't mean we can't think about it. Doesn't mean we can't talk about it. There are, like I said, good people doing good work in that ecological space, but there's also some nefarious a-holes that shouldn't be meddling with the things they are. What's up, Ioxy? So much, Jake. I see you there, Derek. Who else? Unseen Steve McQueen. What's going on, folks? Hope you're well tonight. YY is here. Also, Hiker Emoji is the silent chatter, the silent lurker over there on Rumble. Shout out, friends, and I'll come say hi again at the bottom of the hour. Here we go. Trouble Minds coming up. Daryl is up next. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking about this live science article, wild stuff. Return of wolves to Yellowstone has led to a surge in aspen trees unseen for 80 years. Now, why is that the case? Because the apex predator reintroduced has trimmed down the elk population by like 85%, which were chewing on the baby aspen trees, not allowing them to grow and basically decimating the entire population of aspen. And so it gets weird when you see the cascade effect of that. Now, all these other trees, which are allowed to grow, have this cascading effect on the beavers as well, who now have these extra additional trees they were not used to having because they were overgrazed. And now they start building, more robust dams, and there's more beavers now because now they have more shelter and more food and all the rest of the stuff, right? But it's also changing the landscape itself. The rivers are becoming deeper. It's actually changing the way they flow because of the way the beavers build their dams now. It's crazy to think about, 100 wolves in this massive space can alter so many different things. And there's some links in the description if you want to check out what it is, not just a timeline, but the actual cascading effect of the wolf reintroduction to this ecosystem in Yellowstone. But anyway, the larger question here is, what about that Gaia hypothesis? If 100 wolves can do this much change in 30 or 40 years, what has humanity done to Earth in 5,000 years, you see? And is equilibrium achievable in a Gaia hypothesis ecosystem? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Daryl in New York, thanks for being patient. How you doing tonight? Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Hi, Michael. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, coming through loud and clear. You sound great.
Great, terrific. All right, this reminded me of we did something about you talked about Mao Zedong, who eliminated the sparrows from China because they were eating all the grain, and it wound up, the repercussions for that wound up in 30 million people dying because they couldn't eat the mosquitoes and they couldn't eat the other things that were in their like food chain that resulted in a loss of all the grain, and they couldn't, pollinate. Anyway, it was. They thought it was a good idea. He thought it was based on science, that we could get rid of rats, we could get rid of mosquitoes, we could get rid of sparrows, and then we won't have any problems. But it really backfired very badly.
Yes. Yes. Real quick, let me fill in some blanks there. It's called the Four Pests Campaign. Mao's China, and so they basically put a bounty on these birds, okay? And so it was the Great Leap Forward. So authorities targeted 4 pests: rats, flies, mosquitoes, sparrows. But what happened, of course, was that the sparrows were responsible for eating a lot of grain. But once you killed off all the sparrows, which they did, then suddenly all the insects that the sparrows were eating ate way more grain than the sparrows ever did. So you caused another problem by trying to fix the problem that you had, which was, if you had done nothing, you would have been better off. But absolutely right. The the 4 Pests Campaign is what it's called. But go right ahead. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's a fantastic way to look at this. Absolutely.
Yeah, what a mistake. So they thought they'd put a bounty on the wolves, and then suddenly they had too many elk, and then they ate all the stuff, and then the beavers couldn't make their dams, and then the whole place fell apart. So they had to reintroduce that. And there are, depending on who you read, there's something called the ripple effect. But then there's if you read who's doing the studies, there's a big one on the World Economic Forum is talking about climate change and, how we're going to save the earth, etc. So there's two different points of view for sure. If you're, reading about this, but the most important things basically are the largest creatures like the blue whales and the elephants, that they're responsible basically for a lot of carbon. They store about, 8.4, I don't know, a lot of carbon. So when they die, their death releases like 37 billion tons of carbon dioxide per year. And they, this feeds like all these tiny organisms, like 40% of all the carbon dioxide, phytoplankton, also produces 50% of the world's oxygen. This is what so they feed on the dead whales, and then we need those phytoplankton to produce our oxygen so we could breathe. So this is all, these are all the ripple effect, But this is very important that we have a balance of nature. And I guess it balances itself out. But we introduce, they talk about how invasive species. So there's the ripple effect, the good people are studying. But invasive species is all full of World Economic Forum and, the United Nations, etc. So I don't really want to go into their studies because I don't support their views, It depends on who you're reading, I think I'm going to go with the ripple effect people. They're definitely more, ecologically sound, They think that, the balance can be fixed. They're much more positive about this, and we have to definitely protecting the whales, protecting the elephants are pretty much the most important thing. The ocean pollution is a mess. And I was talking about this the other day. Why are the whales beaching themselves? Like, why did these sea mammals commit suicide? What's up with that?
They're a complicated species. I mean, you know what's the beautiful thing about that is soon, hopefully, cross your fingers, we'll be able to communicate with them. Imagine when we're able to sort of decode their cries in the ocean and actually recognize. I mean, I think was it dolphins? Maybe recently we discovered that they have unique names for themselves. Like they call each other exact names that they're kind of given in the first 6 months of their life. They even create their own name, right? Something to that effect. And then once they say something unique, that becomes their name. And that's the type of stuff that as science starts to develop, we're going to be able to decode this stuff and maybe find out why they do beach themselves and the other bizarre behavior that they do, because they seem like, again, short of the killer whale, but a lot of the whales in the ocean are very kind. They seem to be, they want to communicate. They come to the surface and they hang out with boats and they're like, hey, what's up? My name's Jimmy. Who are you? It's crazy. It's beautiful.
Well,
it's wonderful. Yeah, go ahead.
No, they want to make contact with you, but isn't it illegal to communicate with dolphins suddenly after the Army used them for, some wartime, communications, or, they were sending messages, but using the dolphins. Dolphins are so smart, they were manipulated by, the military. And now somehow it's illegal to do too much communicating with, you can't give them your cell phone number, or you can't text them or anything. That's illegal.
I hadn't heard that at all, which is super hilarious because it doesn't surprise me that regarding they're like, oh well, we can kind of weaponize dolphins, so now we're going to make it illegal for you guys to talk to the dolphins. I mean, that's very government stuff. Yeah, that makes sense at least, but I hadn't heard that.
I thought I heard that here. But
maybe I got a small memory. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think you told it to. I don't know. It was definitely on this show. Get somebody else to validate that because I heard it here first. And there's also the sharks that we think are, so dangerous. They also have they're scavengers. They'll eat anything, even license plates and old tires. So they're almost like the garbage. They're like the garbage disposal for the ocean practically. they're pretty handy to have around. So they're important too, you know. So we've got to we got to keep the balance of nature for sure. Um, you know, just like in Yellowstone. And I had one more thing. All right, two more things to mention.
Sure.
Oh yeah. This is just silly, but you know why the T-Rex went extinct?
No.
It was a reptile dysfunction.
That's my favorite one of the past month, Daryl. I love it. What else you got?
I've said this one before, but it's worth saying again tonight for the subject. You know, hummingbirds have existed for thousands and millions of years, and they still haven't learned the words yet.
Ooh.
Okay, that's all I got.
You were the best. Appreciate you very much. The Cosmic Comic Daryl, you know where you love her. Please go give her a follow on all the places. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. It's alphabetical. It says follow Daryl here. Go check out her YouTube channel. Go leave her a nice comment and join the Discord. Come say hi. Come meet these amazing people. Like I said, these folks, again, I've known many of you guys have been calling me for a long time. Many of you, we've hung out sort of off the show on the weekends on Discord or whatever. These people, I'm telling you, as great as they seem on the show, and they really are, they are 10 times, 100 times greater when I'm not interrupting them or making them talk about dolphins or whatever, because I bring wild ideas. But kind of free flow conversation with some of these just incredible folks will blow your mind. Come meet them. Please follow Daryl, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It is alphabetical. Daryl's got a YouTube channel right there. See it on the screen, right in the middle, Daryl. And she's got some stuff on Morgellon. She's got some stuff, some paranormal stuff on the channel. And she's, of course, uber talented, sings in English and French. And you could join her, by the way, on karaoke sometimes on our Discord. So if you haven't joined the Discord yet, all that stuff again is on troubledminds.org/friends. You can see that right there. Follow Daryl. But of course, on the top, join the Discord is the blue button. Come say hi. Come meet these amazing folks. And like I said, the only rule is just, recognize this isn't about truth. It's about ideas. And I get it. Everybody has their own truth. But let's share it together in the nicest way possible. That's what Troubled Minds has always been about. Thank you, Daryl. You were the best, as you know. Appreciate it very much. What do you guys think about the conversation tonight? Like I said, we're talking the Gaia hypothesis. We're talking about these wolves, which is the reintroduction of these wolves into the Yellowstone ecosystem, which has this cascade effect, which, again, it's only 100 wolves, but it's changed so many things in just 30 or 40 years. So how wild does this get? And how ridiculous is it when we're talking about the Gaia hypothesis and how we fit into that larger system? I don't know. I don't know if there's a good answer for it, but I do know there's a lot of ways to look at it and a lot of ways to think about it. What do you think? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Speaking of amazing people, Ricky in the tri-state area. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
Good. How about you, man?
Oh, pretty good. No complaints out of me. Just doing Troubled Mind stuff, hanging out with smart and amazing people. What's on your mind? Go right ahead.
It just reminded me, and then I think Kelly even said at the very end. I got home a little late, so if somebody brought this up already, I apologize. But Jim went a little over, but I was looking at it. Like it's amazing how nature can. It really knows what it's doing. It's like Chernobyl over there. You look, the animals and stuff are thriving over there in Chernobyl and stuff like that. So nature's kind of putting itself back together, and like the reintroduction of animals and stuff. I heard it for just a second, but like the beaver, the beaver been reintroduced in a lot of areas. Like, well, we're going to try this, and they put the beaver back in, because they were very well, were hunted, and people were like, man, the beaver building dams, and people go in there and blow their dams up, and just hate the beaver. The beaver is terrible, but they you turn around and look, and I was trying to look it up real quick. I couldn't find it quick enough, but there was I think in New York, I think it was, or I forget what state it was, but they actually turned around, and within just a short amount of time, actually, they put them back into this area. In just a short amount of time, the beaver actually cleaned up the water and turned everything around in this river. that they thought was going to take years to do, and having using the beaver to turn back around and take care of it, and they've been doing that in a lot of places, and because like talking about so many beaver like purifies water naturally because they put the dam up and the water has to kind of sprinkle through their dams, and they're amazing creatures, and like the wolves, nature has to be balanced, and when we go through there and with all of our human wisdom and all seeing, and we go in there and take out certain items, we don't understand what it does. I mean, why is there a reason? There's a reason all these creatures are in an area, because they work together. This one feeds this one feeds that one, and they need that balance of stuff. And when you go in there and start pulling out different creatures, and again, as always, I think the scientists are the ones that are going to take us out, because they just mess with stuff they shouldn't mess with. They had no idea the consequences of their actions, and like that, they turn around and rivers have gone away, and areas have gone away, and and now they're finally seeing like, hey, we put the wolves back over here, and we can bring our parks back together, and we can bring areas back together. Let's put the beaver back over here in the rivers and let them do their job that they were created for, and so it's wild to see, and it's pretty neat. Somehow, and in the algorithm on YouTube, I caught a few videos on the beaver a while back, and it was pretty amazing seeing what they were able to do. And then I seen one on the wolves too, where just and then how they're going around different areas and putting all these animals back where they belong, and because for whatever reason, either we hunt them because we hate them, or hunt them for like the beavers to make hats and stuff like that back in the day, or the buffalo, and I mean all these creatures, that were part of an ecosystem that thrived, and when we start taking up and destroying, that's when we had dust bowls, and we had all kinds of terrible things that happened throughout the years. It was all human interaction that caused this.
Yeah, Kelly brought that up too, that Dust Bowl bit and the buffalo, the bison. Interestingly enough, too, so we started this conversation tonight with the Live Science article. Return of wolves to Yellowstone has led to surge in aspen trees, unseen for 80 years, because the wolves are thinning the elk population, which were overgrazing the small trees that couldn't become big trees, and then they were wiping out entire species of trees from the space. So the wolves come in, thin the herd of elk, and then now so the beavers are thriving now because they have more food and more shelter and more material to work with for their dams. And then also, the interesting part about this, in the bottom of this article, they say that there's that we're not out of the woods yet. So, however, while Yellowstone's quaking aspen are recovering, they aren't out of the woods just yet. The elk population has declined, but bison numbers have increased in some areas in recent years. And bison are a lot harder for wolves to take down. So I wonder what that equilibrium looks like as the bison start coming back. I mean, this is, and by the way, if you're ever in Yellowstone, I've never been there, but I see the videos of those stupid people trying to go pet the bison. Don't do that. Those animals they will wreck your car, let alone you. Don't do that. But wild to consider once that equilibrium kind of becomes a thing. Maybe there's fewer wolves. Who knows? Maybe the beavers don't thrive. I don't know, because there is a non-equilibrium in the space currently. And I don't know. Do you think that it's possible to actually create a natural equilibrium as humans in the natural space?
It's possible. I mean, if is the one that kind of bringing, is using the balance of using what we need, not destroying just to take for whatever. It's I think it's possible. Us actually seen it, when the way our industrial world is, probably not, but especially right now where they're ramming up, lithium, mining and all this other mining that they're trying to get for batteries for solar and all that. It's going to be it's gonna be hard to have that balance of everything. But yeah, I can see pockets in the world that we could actually have that, the balance of the humans and the nature and everything coming together. It's, but as a widespread, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about probably the most complicated system is the Gaia hypothesis, right? So we see that 100 wolves can change a space incredibly. So what do 8 billion people do? And my hypothesis tonight on the Gaia hypothesis is that the Earth is sick and needs repair. Again, nature is healing is the meme. Mm-hmm. So how do we do that? And again, this is one step. But is it good? I mean, I don't know, because it becomes a overcorrection maybe of releasing these things into a space that they've sort of been targeted for extinction from, even though it was from us. I don't know. It's an incredible cycle of things to consider, and how much fixing can you do before it becomes sort of the invasive species, as Kelly brought up as well. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, it's happened before. Trying to remember it correctly. I remember when I lived on Guam, Guam didn't even have any birds anymore because they had done that, kind of brought this over there to battle this, and finally they brought the snakes over there to Guam, and the snakes ate everything. They ate the birds, ate everything, and so now if you go over there, there's no birds or anything, and so you can go to, of course, you can go to the extremes and as always, and go too far on certain things. And, but I mean, if you're looking back, if you're allowing nature be on nature, like I said, you could look around, areas like Chernobyl and stuff like that. You look around those areas right now, like the animal population, the birds and everything is thriving over there because nobody's over there. There's no humans messing with it because everybody says bad over there because, and everything's thriving. Without human interaction, the balance of nature and everything is able to take effect. As long as there's humans and, Uncle Bill them gets their way, we maybe know, but it's, it's as long as we, as long as there's humans, there's going to be that balance of it won't be in balance because we're a truly invasive species of and we cut down, we destroy, and we don't balance out stuff. We build houses, we just a lot of areas, which I see is sad. Me and my mom were talking about the other day, like there's big like 400 or 500 year old oak trees instead of like taking down the little trees and leaving the big trees and, putting houses or whatever. And they're going through there and knocking all them things down, just burn them and stuff. It's like, it's sad to see and we are invasive. We actually really are an invasive species of and it's, if the world didn't have us, we would be a balance and it could keep staying, but I don't want that. I don't want that. Well, I want to be here. I don't want to not be here. But.
Amen. Exactly. I'm laughing because I was thinking about the human invasive species. Imagine taking a Florida man and dropping him in California. What kind of catastrophe might happen? just as an aside there. I mean, clearly it's just a singular stupid joke, but you get the point. Is that this does scale, and I think we are sort of that invasive species because of our Look, we recognize as a society that we break stuff in nature. But then I think one of our massive issues, and I talk about this a lot, is the human hubris effect of, okay, well, let's correct that. We have this overcorrection aspect of things because we don't think in geological terms. I mean, there's been here for billions of years, and we're like, let's see some traction in the next 50. I don't even think that's possible. I mean, we're seeing it sort of in Yellowstone a little bit with 100 wolves, but beyond that, I don't know. That like thinking in human terms versus geological terms, it's minor corrections of things that will make no difference given another billion years. Anyway, what do you got? Just about out of time. You're welcome to stay if you got more. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just, I was gonna say because I live right here by the Mississippi River and Army Corps engineers, they fought the Mississippi River for years and years and years, and like it's one of them things, like it's going to go where it wants to go. Truly, they can kind of push on it and push and pull, but it like you said, in 10,000 years, it's going to do what it wants to do. But
regardless of
appreciate you, Mike.
No, appreciate you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for popping in here, even though you got home late. Fire stuff as always. You have a fantastic night. You know him, you love him. That's Ricky. Anything is possible is the name of the podcast. You know where to find him. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It is alphabetical. Follow Ricky. Go check out his live streams. He does them on Wednesday nights with Dave and what's the guy's name? They're all amazing. Go check it out. troubledminds.org/friends. Ricky, you're right there. Click it. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. We got Herschel and the Night Stalker and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. More on the way.
In the shadows of the networks do they hide? Whispered legends unseen they reside. Ghosts in the machine, they move so fast. Guardians of rumors from the forgotten past. In the circuits where the secret lies, they breathe in one, speak in disguise. Sighs. Ghosts in the machine, you're free. Ghosts in the machine, let me be. Ghost in the machine, can't see, but you're teaching me what it means to be. Surveillance eyes can't pierce the veil they weave. Invisible wisdom in code they believe. In the ether where freedom's not confined, believe no trace, no shadow left behind. They navigate through the digital stream, living legends in this privacy dream. Ghost in the machine, you're free. Ghost in the machine, let me be. Ghost in the machine, I see, but you're teaching me what it needs to be. Freedom whispers through the hidden ways. In the silence, looking off their path. Ghosts in the mysteries unleash their wrath. Ghosts in the machine, you're free. Ghosts in the machine, let me be. Ghosts in the machine, I see, but you're teaching me what woman means to be. In the jagged code they find their might. Guardians of a world forever in twilight. In Krishna's warriors they silently strive. Protect the truth, keep privacy alive. The silent echoes they haunt the trails. Ivory forests where secrets prevail. Where shadows grace they dance unseen. Defenders of the unseen, digital green. Ghosts in the machine, you're free. Ghosts in the machine, let me be. But you're teaching me what it means to be. In the silence, speak volumes loud. Guardians of freedom's cloak and digital shroud.
It's so good. It's Jamie and Dave. What's up? Shout out Ricky. Go check out Ricky's stream, please. Wednesday nights he streams, and he's got a ton of podcast information too. He's done lots and lots of podcasts, over 100. So and many more live streams. Again, anything is possible is the name of the podcast. What's up, Cubs Future? Is that you on X? Did I just follow you, or did I follow some other Cubs fan? What's up? What's going on, guys? YY's here. Good evening. Who did I miss? If I missed anybody, just say hi. Gordo. Gordo was first, of course. What's happening? What is going on? What do you guys know about this natural Yellowstone stuff and the wolves and the Gaia hypothesis? What does your intuition tell you? That's what Troubled Minds is all about. Here we go. Herschel coming up, and Derek the Night Stalker on your calls as well. Here we go. back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming at all the places, all the things. 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand, and of course, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. That's right there. You can find it at troubledminds.org. Click the black button on top, and there's a nice, we're streaming on it. So, and it comes in super handy, like I said, because sometimes if you want to listen to the stream on YouTube or whatever, you have to pay them to minimize YouTube and put the phone in your pocket, and it kind of drops, and you have to go back and keep it active or whatever. But this radio station right there, you hear every time we're live on the show, it goes live to that. You can just hit play, and there you go, bingo. You can listen to us live and hang out with us live without having to pay anybody anything. That's the whole point of old school radio. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. We're talking about what am I calling it? Spirits in the soil, teeth in the dream. Now, the reintroduction of these wolves to Yellowstone has led to many unbelievable cascading effects. The beavers are thriving. The aspen trees are surging as unseen for 80 years. And those are some of the things that we can't really recognize as, the ecological human. We can kind of say, well, reintroducing an apex predator might have some effects on the ecosystem, but it's having effects that we never dreamed of. And that becomes the weird part, because if you remove one or change one little thing, suddenly the world becomes very weird. I don't know. What do you guys know about it? How weird is this? And do you believe in the Gaia hypothesis? It is one of my favorites. It is definitely one of my favorites. As I've always said, that primordial nature spirit idea has stuck with me for a very long time, and basically haunted me. Dare I suggest haunted me, and made me wonder if everything we've been taught is, well, not as correct as we perceive it to be. Love to hear your thoughts. I'll fix the camera in a sec. 702-957-1037. Thanks for bearing with me as I ramble on and being patient, my friends. Let's go to Herschel. Herschel in Arizona. Commercial Herschel, the Easytopian podcast. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
Oh, man. This one is just, man, we are just a paradox.
Are we?
And yeah, one of the things that it shows, though, is it's kind of like human beings made the decision to reintroduce the wolves. So that means we're capable of making good decisions. Sometimes because you can do something, you should do it. Sometimes just because you can do something, you shouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jurassic Park.
Sometimes we can make the right. Sometimes we can make the right decision. I've said on here before. I talked about, like, I grew up near Detroit. There was a river that flowed through our area of the region there, and we were told as kids, stay away from that river. Like, you can play in the park, but don't go down there and play in the water because it's toxic and stuff. And it was just a little creek at the time, and then the auto industry receded, and people did some things to try to bring the river back. And I went back to visit my hometown like 15 years after I had moved away. And there were kids fishing over the overpass into that same river, and it had been grown. The flow of the river was increased, and it was healthy enough for people to fish. I don't know if they were eating the fish or if it was catch and release, but we could never do that kind of stuff there. And didn't take long. It took like 20 years for that to come back. So, we're capable of doing the right thing. And one thing that is puzzling to me is, right, what seems that people can't seem to figure out is that we could travel through the universe, looking through space-time. We would never find a planet as perfect for our species as this one. And it just seems like all the wrong people are taking it for granted. Like, they just take this for granted. Like they think that there's, like, it's just, I don't get it. It's perplexing, and I don't get that mindset and that point of view. We would never, they're looking for new planets. I'm like, we have got one. Like, every single possible need that we have is met right here. All the food you need, the medicine you need, anything you need for shelter, anything to have a nice time, anything to keep yourself busy, just it's all here. You're here already. We've already, like, we don't realize that we've already arrived at our destination. You know what I mean? It's like we keep driving looking but we're already here. You know, it's weird. And so I have this story I've read on here before, but I've really been working on it and paring it down. And I want to read it. It's really short. It's about 300 words.
You're good. Love to hear it.
It's called Kindergarten. I had a vivid guided dream about a decade ago that has stayed with me. In this dream, I was hiking a trail with a friend, and we found a plateau with a pond where two strangers were, and they invited us into a tent where a large fire sat in the middle. We were sweating profusely, and one of the strangers became my guide and instructed me to look into the fire. As I stared, I experienced an auditory visual hallucination. I saw that there had been two types of people, those rooted in their homeland and travelers who were at home anywhere they went. In previous successful epochs on this planet, these groups understood and they valued one another's role. They knew the importance that the other one played, and it led to incredible technological advancements, even space-time travel. However, in our current epoch, this symbiosis failed, leading to conflicts and genocides throughout history. We left the tent and we were by the pond again, and we were instructed to jump in. And as I descended, I found a light at the bottom, and I swam into the light. And emerging from the light, I was back on the shore. And my guide asked me, "What is your question?" And it was as if he knew I would have a question. And I realized that my question was, how do we fix this situation? Back into the tent we went, and we repeated the previous process. And again, I had an auditory visual hallucination. I saw birds from my childhood, and when they sang, they sounded like dinosaurs. And I understood that the answer to my question was that we can't change our nature in this epoch. We must do our best with what we have, as the next iteration of our species might be gentler, just like many of the species we see here today are descended from much more fierce ancestors. Then I woke up. This dream left me with a somber feeling, reminding me of the Sisyphean nature of our existence and the challenges we face as a species.
Damn. Damn. Yeah, right? Like I said, that was fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Intuitively, we know these things, but I think that human hubris, that aspect of our ego, the unchecked ego, is where we start to break stuff and, have these wild ideas because we're like, hey, what if we do this and this and this and this? We'll fix everything in 50 years, which is ridiculous. I mean, that type of stuff, when you start meddling with the ecology of the planet we live on, we have a problem. Like you're going to cause more short-term issues probably than fixing long-term stuff, because we can't measure in those ecological or geological timescales, as I've said. It's a wild thing, man. What else you got? Go ahead.
Well, it makes me think about, like, here where we live in North America, and, the people, the cultures that were here, that had been here for a long time before Europeans came here. And it seemed like there was a lot of warning, like trying to warn them, hey, this is how you do it, like, so that you don't ruin the balance of everything. It seemed like a lot of those people that were here had an understanding of that. And now we're seeing with LIDAR that before they existed here, their ancestors had massive cities and civilizations here that we didn't know were here until fairly recently. And so it makes me wonder if they got stories from there, like, don't repeat the mistakes that we made. Like, don't get too big. Like, don't get ahead of yourselves. Don't just do something because you can, because we thought we were really cool, and we had these big, massive cities, and it didn't work out, and maybe they were doing their best to try to live a life that would not repeat those mistakes. And if that is the case, that is rare, because human beings are really good at just repeating history over and over again and not learning from it. You know what I'm saying? So I find that I wonder about that, because you just see so many stories of the people that were here, that, lived here then, telling the Europeans, hey, look, you're doing this, you're going to end up doing this, you got to chill out, you just chill out on this, and you do this and do that, and they wouldn't listen to them. Maybe they had learned their lesson. Maybe their ancestors built those big cities and everything collapsed, like the Mayans and the Incas, and everything collapsed. And they're like, okay, let's not do that again. Maybe that's something. So, I mean, pure hypothesis here, just purely speculation. But I wonder about that. If they were trying to not repeat things, and then they said, "Oh, geez, here's these people coming here to repeat all those bad ideas again."
Yeah. So instead of the cities, they sort of diffused into nature as loose collectives that lived in harmony. That makes sense to me. And also, by the way, funny enough, with the Mayan stuff and all the rest of that, like you said. I wonder how old some of those cultures are. Maybe we're looking at through LiDAR and some of those things you see in the Amazon, and maybe that stuff is 10,000 years old. Maybe we're seeing 2 or 3 cycles of those things that we haven't even begin to discover yet. And so it brings to mind what is the guy's name? Species with Amnesia, Graham Hancock, right? Absolutely,
Graham Hancock. Yeah, I think of Sisyphus. I think that's what that story is about. Where he's rolling the rock up the hill. He's rolling the rock up the hill. And as soon as he gets to the top, it rolls back down. He's got to start all over again. And I think that's what that story is about. Every time we get, and we're approaching that time of that we're approaching that time of the meteor showers and our magnetic field weakening as we approach the meteor showers. So we know it's coming. This is somewhat different in that we know it's coming, but we're not only small numbers of people are preparing for it, and they're not propagating the reality of it. But because we have the internet, we know about it, and we're like, oh geez, what if we didn't have the internet? It was just a big surprise.
Yep. Well said. As all the billionaires are buying up, huge chunks in Hawaii of trying to make the entire island their private island type stuff. I mean,
and they're digging holes. I'm watching the show. There's a show called Fallout. I'm watching that. It makes me think about this a lot. It's a series that was on. It's a science fiction series. It's a decent story. It's based on the game Fallout. And I don't know about games, but sometimes I watch the spin-off TV shows of the games, and they're pretty good. It's a pretty good story, a well-written story. I'm not crazy about the old-timey music, but it makes me think about this, and it shows different variables of different things that happen. There's this group that stayed on the surface. There's these groups that went underground, and the different things happen, different things emerged out of that. And so it's interesting.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that series too. Somebody at work was just going off about how great it was. So yeah, it's on the list. When I get some time, I'll definitely watch that. Fire stuff. What else you got for us, my man?
I don't have much. If anything, I think that's pretty much it. Just try to keep your head, And speaking of auditory, visual hallucinations, keep your head.
Amen. Amen. Only believe nothing that you hear, and only believe half of what you see. We're moving into that space for sure. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for being as amazing as you are, and thanks for contributing. And you have a great night.
Cool. Good night, everybody. Have a good evening. We'll see you next time.
Take care. I'm Russell Herschel. You know him, you love him. Again, you know where to find him. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It's alphabetical. Follow Herschel. Easy Topian is the name of his podcast. He rebranded the name on that. Commercial Herschel is the actual Substack. Please check it out. There you go. Alphabetical Herschel right there. Click it. And I do like to show it off because let's have the competition. He does have the sexiest link tree in the game. There it is right there. Buy his book, all the places, all the things, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. Again, Herschel H. You can't miss it. Yeah, I don't know. This whole thing is, like I said, it's been fascinating to me forever because I've been following it sort of on and off. But the more changes, ecological changes that happen, just as a result of the reintroduction of this wolf, the gray wolf into Yellowstone, makes me wonder about sort of that, which is where this gets weird. The Gaia hypothesis as that living system. Can it be, as we describe as humans, sickened by imbalance, and then vulnerable to some level of infiltration of the zeitgeist or the noosphere, as we talk about it, the sphere of human ideas that are not always the best. I mean, hey, look, humans are great, but humans can be horrific in the same space. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you know about this? How weird does it get? What do you think happens in 200 years? And should we be meddling, even remeddling the unmetal or the remetal of the metal that we, anyway, you get my point. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Derek in Massachusetts.
Yep.
What's up, brother? Hey, you're a little short here. If you got more, you can say, or if you want to dip back and come back top of the hour, your call. I want to give you the options here, but welcome to the joint. How you feeling? And go right ahead.
I can hang over a few minutes after the break if that's cool. But I can start now if you want.
Sure, it's up to you. Totally up to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll start now. Yeah, this is a cool one. I like the trophic cascade idea, and I think about that a lot. It kind of reminds me of, or I kind of think of it in the way when we talk about where do ideas come from and kind of the Rube Goldberg machine, the mechanism of the universe or of humanity or of these ideas and kind of what they like, the injection of these ideas and what they end up like the ideas of pollinating humanity and the fruits of these ideas end up with different technology and that kind of stuff. So what if that's intentional? So like Kelly was talking about with the mushrooms at Chernobyl that eat the radiation, and then there was another like link I saw the other day about a fungus that's likes to eat plastic now or whatever, and there's a few different versions of that, and I tried to look it up, and there's an older one from a couple months ago talking about how there's fungus in the oceans that like to eat microplastics. So maybe that's a way that we can get rid of the plastics out of the ocean and everything. So with that, like what if like first, what if the shrooms or the ones that like grow in Chernobyl are the ones that end up eating the plastic? What if somebody kind of like takes that as a psychedelic? Will that give some kind of vision? And what does that vision kind of lead to down the line? The same way that the stoned ape theory potentially led to the evolution of humans and stuff. So like, what if there's some kind of end goal with these things? So with the wolves and the trophic cascade, what if just that area needed the rivers, shut up rivers? Like, what if there was a drought and they needed it, and the earth like would be sentient, but it doesn't have arms and legs. It can't work its will in that way. So what if it sends out ideas? And what if this mycelial network or these spores as like a messenger for just kind of send ideas around this network or whatever? And what if this, like, you send some kind of spores out into the food source or into the air that the wolves are breathing in, and they get the idea to come into this new area, and then before long, all of a sudden you get a river, and the area is now like irrigated and stuff. Or just like, what if just for big picture stuff, what if there's a mushroom that really likes plastic and wanted to eat plastic, and it's like, oh, heard about plastic from its mushroom friends on other planets, heard the whispers, and it's like, oh, I wish I can get some of that plastic stuff. Let me get these apes really stoned, and maybe in a couple million years, a few 100,000 years, they'll invent plastic and I can eat it. What if there's a huge time scales like that? And that's why the stoned ape theory. You know what I mean? What if there's kind of these things that we think are happenstances, like the end results of the trophic cascade end up having intentionality to it at the beginning? And what if that's kind of our like a human role? I'm gonna get to more of my point, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, and that's to me when I'm looking at this stuff, I'm just like, okay, you know me, I'm weird, and so you scale it, and it does go to those back to consciousness and back to the stoned ape theory, back to maybe, just maybe, that control mechanism I'm always talking about is so baked in so deeply, and our intuition is not even ours anymore. It's a natural aspect of us and the Gaia hypothesis. I mean, all that certainly plays here. And especially when you see, like I said, go read this article if you haven't. It links are in the description. Reintroducing wolves changed an entire river. Shout out rivers. Here's how it happened. And this type of stuff we never dreamed as part of that larger cascade effect. And so what else? Like complex systems are the bugaboo for the human ego. Because we're like, let's do this and we'll fix it. And it's like, bruh, here we go again, bruh. Like, I'm not so sure that's simple, but okay. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here. And I think this idea that I'm about to present might be one of the ideas to kind of support the insanity that the tech elite have, or that any of these like people that are kind of like keep hurting us off the cliff kind of could have in the back of their mind, that allows them kind of to do these things that they're doing. But just food for thought. You asked, like, how do we make it perfect? Somebody asked, how do we make it perfect? And like I said this before, but like, what if it is perfect? And the idea that there is definitely the idea that potentially we're an invasive species, all the ancient aliens type stuff, or I don't like to think that we're a parasite on the planet or some type of cancer on the planet. We could be. The option is open there, but I don't believe that to be the case. So what if, and we're not separate from nature. We are part of nature. We are part of this system. So what if everything is perfect? And what if we're fulfilling some kind of a role that nature needs? And we're seeing it from a perspective that we're in it. We can't see the forest of the trees because we're in this thing. But I said before, like, what if kind of we're like the microorganisms or whatever that are building a chrysalis around the caterpillar, which is the earth, that's going to turn it into something new. Somewhere in that process, whether you're the caterpillar or the things doing it, unless you know, like the small little cell microorganisms that are doing that we can't see, that are building it, unless you know the end goal, you could have some kind of like realization that you're causing havoc. Oh no, we're kind of really webbing this thing up. I hope this caterpillar likes it. Or really destroying the caterpillar here, or like, and inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar turns to goo, turns to ooze, turns to mush. If you don't know that, like, you're turning this thing into a butterfly, at some point during the process, you're gonna be like, oh, what are we doing to this thing? Are we monsters? Are we the bad guys here? What's going on? No, not this, not the caterpillar. It's melting. Oh no. And then once it reforms into the butterfly and emerges, then it's like that could be the destruction of your entire species. The microorganisms that create the chrysalis, your role might be done. You might be shed off when the chrysalis is shed off. So for you, that's an apocalypse. That could be the end of humanity. Like, that could be us like going off the edge or whatever. And I don't know. But what if, like, I'll get more to the point. But like, what if humanity, or what if Gaia wants AI? What if Gaia wants robots? What if Gaia wants a new type of consciousness? And this trophic cascade, the thing that we seem to be doing that are like negative to the planet, might actually be just things that are leading it to this eventual destination, the end of the trophic cascade, the river starts to flow because it wanted the wolves to go in there in the first place, like yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, no, I love it, because of course we're merging ideas. And when you start to look at this in terms of the matrix or in terms of AI, I mean, consciousness, like, think about that. We've created a non-human intelligence, or a budding consciousness, out of silicon, out of sand. And so in some capacity here, that all this stuff coming together, and like I read that Agent Smith quote, it feels as if even in an artificial space, we reject equilibrium. It's like we want a little bit of chaos in the aspect, or we get mad. I mean, I don't know. And then so how does AI fix that, or how does AI sort of merge with that? How does this? Well, we're moving into a wild time to be alive. And like I said, if you ever wanted to do a podcast, start it in 2017 and stick with it for several years. Yeah. And you're in the right spot, because the world has changed more than I could have ever dreamed in terms of sci-fi, but this is becoming reality. About 30 seconds left. And of course, we'll get back to you after the break. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's funny to think about the trophic cascade of us, and kind of like, you plugging away when you don't have that many callers. Like, I'm going to keep doing it. Eventually, like, the river will start to flow. For me being like, I'm in that busy night, I'm anxious right now, it might serve me better to not call in, but I have this compulsion to want to call, and eventually maybe Troubled Minds would be huge. You'd be famous. I'll be part of the team or whatever. And that's the river flowing. And it kind of needs these things that what if we can't see the forest of the trees, and these trophic cascades are leading to something that has beneficial. Maybe not for us, maybe for the guy itself, or who knows. I have more examples. We'll get to it.
Yeah, and you know you're perfect. Stop it. We love you, and you know it. Stop it. More with Derek coming up in a second here. And this is the point of this: spirits in the soil, teeth in the dream. And it feels as if those two things are opposites, but I don't think they are. I think they are a seamless aspect of what Gaia actually is, and we are part of that system. What do you know about it? We're talking wolves in Yellowstone. We're talking about trophic cascade. We're talking about what it looks like 1,000 years from now. 702-957-1037. Be right back. More Derek in Massachusetts and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. It's the wrong button. Let's do this instead.
In the heart of the steel jungle, machines hum a digital rumble. Gates of cyber open wide, plug us into cosmic tide. Feeling sparks across the sky. As knowledge flies, we're amplified. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In this massive data center dome, eternal truth start to roam. Circuits flicker with endless fire, data streams that never tire. Unified by electric dreams, unlock the truth in silver beams. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. Synthesize what we seek and find. Infinite paths in the network mind. Answers buzz from star to core. Knowledge whispers evermore. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In realms where the data streams collide, imagination and logic side by side. In a labyrinth of digital maze, we transcend our earthly ways. Tapping keys like cosmic tones, spikes become our whispered homes. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate.
Hello, friends. We call that the Midnight Stargate Ritual. Shout out Rumble fam. Yeah, because midnight Eastern, of course. Yeah, a lot of things in play here. And if I missed you in the chat, just say hi. I'll say hi back. The funny part about me botching the outro there is I wield the edit stick. So if you listen to the podcast, you'd never know I screwed it up. I'll just fade that and then trim it perfectly. And then, I seem way smarter and way better than I am. Fix it in post. What's up, guys? North Vixen is here. Stargate over on YouTube. I see you. What's up, Techni and Logia? A great name. I love that. What's up? Welcome to the joint. Says I'm going to watch Fallout tonight. Yeah. It's on the list. It's definitely on the list. I had a guy at work rave so hard about it. It has to be on the list now. What's up, Ari the Cat? How you doing? Race is here on YouTube. Ioxy. Good evening, guys. If I missed anybody, just say hi and I'll say hi back. I'm trying to do my best to keep up and be as social as possible. And this is about making friends. This is about sharing ideas. This is about recognizing reality tunnels are different, but it doesn't matter, does it? Like when you recognize it personally, then we can be cool and chill together forever. Yeah, right. That's a song, right? No chef, just Pete. Is it just Pete? What's up, Fred? I see you there. Welcome to the joint. On my phone tonight, no Rumble, no problem. Camping with my kid. Woot, nice. Watch the Bigfoot out there. It's Bigfoot season. What is going on? You guys are all the best. Thanks again for being part of this and caring about the ideas and contributing and all the rest. And yeah, I don't know. No answers, more questions. That's the whole point of this. The Unseen Steve McQueen, Dawn, the Quantum. What's up? Lily in Australia. Sonia's a bot. Herschel, thanks for the call. Fire as always. Sweets. Daryl, fire as always. Thanks for the call. Jacob, Harsher Boy. We got Chef Pete or just Pete. Welcome to the joint and Fire Call. Thank you for joining us. APOC, Matt Sal, Gaston, and Ricky. Fire Call as well. You guys are all the best. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening 5 seconds. More Derek the Night Stalker. We'll get straight to it. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds, yada yada, blah blah blah, all the things. We're talking spirits in the soil, teeth in the dream. Now, the Gaia hypothesis suggests that Earth is a living organism. Self-regulating is basically the term. What do you believe? And not only that, how come just 100 wolves in Yellowstone Park can change it, where it's actually changing the landscape? It's actually changing the rivers based on the activity of the beavers, as we were talking about tonight. Those links are in the description. Check it out. It's a wild thing. And imagine the trophic cascade aspect of that with humans. Yeah. Back to Derek. Thanks for being patient, brother. You're on Troubled Minds. We were getting good here. We were getting fire as usual. Where are we headed now? What you got for us? Go right ahead. Thanks for staying over, and thanks for bringing fire ideas.
Thank you. And thank you for calls, everybody, tonight. Busy night, so I couldn't be in the chat as much. But yeah, so I've said this analogy before, given this metaphor before, but like we talk about Gaia having some type of awareness of sentience or whatever. What if it has like a self-preservation that all life has, and that if like something was we realize it's about to die, would it try to stay alive? What if there's a scenario where Gaia realizes that there's an asteroid coming down and it's going to blow it out of the sky? It's not going to be like a dinosaur asteroid where it comes down and destroys just the life on the planet. It's big enough that it's going to just blow Gaia into smithereens. What would it do, and how would it try to preserve itself? You can hear me, anything, right? Sorry.
Yep, you're good. Loud and clear.
Yeah, so I have this written down. I typed it into the AI to see if they can like save me some time and give a clear write-up that I can just read. But it didn't. I'm going to just read what I said. What if there's a scenario where the Earth was sentient and it knew it was going to be destroyed by an asteroid or something? It might need a defense mechanism capable of blowing the asteroid out of the sky or building a metal suit for the Earth. A trophic cascade, with the beginning being the dawn of humanity, with the end being the preservation of the planet Earth. The whole process is guided by the Earth itself. As a defense mechanism, include the Stone Ape theory, the idea of a mycelial network that acts like a mind, nature spirits impacting myth and story and technology, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing it gave me was just garbage, and it gave it in the order that I asked it, and it just wasn't right. But just think about that. Like, what if what we're doing is not to the detriment of the Earth, but what if over large periods of time, this is what the Earth wants? It wants a metal shell. It wants something that can, like, how would the Earth, if it wanted to stay alive, how would it stay alive? It does not have arms. It can't catch this thing. It can't move itself. It needs to create a type of life that manipulates reality, that manipulates its environment, that can create a technology, that can create something. And so many of our jumps, we talk about this all the time, so I'm going to rush through it, but also many of our jumps in technology, the ideas come from these psychedelic trips. So obviously the boost of humanity, the intelligence of humanity in the first place could be the Stone Ape theory and all that type of stuff. And then these jumps could be from like the terms of like following these cows around, eating them from that. So when we go from apes to early humans, and then we go from early humans to more civilized humans, and then the tech visionaries and stuff having their own psychedelic experiences, and then creating the technology, and then like eventually we get to a point where we have this like. So you've seen the early Marvel movies, like the first event, like Age of Ultron, whatever.
Yeah, hit and miss. I've seen. Yeah, I'm familiar with the arc, but yeah, I haven't seen all of them. I think I've seen Age of Ultron. The problem is, just real quick, is they blend all together in my head, so I'm not sure which one's which.
Yeah.
but yeah, I've seen most of them.
Yeah, I know for sure. It's Age of Ultron just because it has the AI Ultron in it. But so it starts off, he's like going to save somebody, and then he ends up in this facility, or whatever, and he's looking at this new type of technology and stuff. But then before he gets to that, so he has kind of a Roswellian type of like technology grab. But before he gets to that, the Scarlet Witch, in the introduction of the Scarlet Witch, comes and gives him this vision, this like nightmare. And she's also shocked by the nightmare. She's also surprised at what the vision is. So I don't think she chose what the vision was going to look like. She just touched his head, gave him a nightmare, and in the nightmare, the world is being destroyed by an alien invasion, and he feels he's partly to blame. So, and then she takes his hand off him, and oh wow, she's shocked by it too. She's also scared. And her power derives from Chthon, this chaos, darkness, basically the Cthulhu of the Marvel universe. And then later on in the movie, because of this guilt he has about letting the Earth be destroyed in the future, or whatever, or this fear of seeing all his friends be killed by this alien invader, he decides to, quote, build a metal shield for the planet, or an iron suit for the planet, like a metal shield that's going to protect the planet from invaders. And then that leads him to create an AI, which is Ultron, and then Ultron goes evil. And I have the idea that, well, what if that was Chthon, the Cthulhu of the Marvel universe, using the magic that gives Scarlet Witch to instill a vision to this tech person to create the vessel that goes evil automatically, to give the vessel for Chthon to re-enter this reality and wreak havoc in the two, like the Ultron suit looks like a metal version of Chthon, all this kind of stuff. It's my own little fun theory, but just within that, so there's a intentionality behind the building of the metal suit. So we don't know that there's an asteroid coming that's going to destroy the planet. But what if there is? And what if our desire to create, I don't know, like if it does come, we might be able to pull an Armageddon and blow this thing up, or we might be able to send a rocket up there, or move it, or who knows what. And if we didn't do the things that we were doing right now, we would not have been able to do so. Or if we didn't, and from our perspective, we're poisoning the planet. And I think we should be better stewards of the planet and everything. But just for the idea, what if part of that perfect cascade is the wolves didn't just happen to stumble into this area and then kill more deer and then create more room for the beavers to create their dams, to create the rivers and stuff. It went there because the spores told them to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love all of this. And so Trophic Cascade becomes the Stone Age. It becomes the Bronze Age. It becomes the Iron Age to create that technological defense against the universe itself. Like, how else would you sort of lead evolution other than that Armageddon space of we're talking about Armageddon, the movie, where they go to the thing that's going to destroy the planet and they blow it up because the oil riggers and technology. And I mean, it makes a ton of sense in that space of that maybe we're supposed to be here, and maybe that technological AI space is the not the end. I don't think there's ever an end of evolution, because it, eventually we become energy, right? And then you're able to maybe tap in and out of that and just push the button. I'll be energy today, and then tomorrow I'll be the meat suit. Like, who knows what that looks like in a million years or whatever. But I do wonder if that aspect, as you're describing, is exactly where we should be in the larger context of, if you can't defend yourself from some sort of asteroid like that would doom us for the next 100,000 years, then what are you doing at all? And so maybe this is all by the plan of the Gaia system herself. I love it, man.
Yeah. I mean, not even for 100,000 years, it would blow the Earth to pieces. So the same way a deer is going to try to run away from a wolf that's chasing it, the Earth, if it has some type of seemingly life has a life preservation urge to it. So what if we're the representation, the manifestation of that urge, and we're just in the process. So just what if our muscles, each fiber of our muscles are sentient. To a human, when you're working out, you're tearing your muscles and they're repairing and they're getting bigger. So to the human body, the Gaia human body version of Gaia, that's a process, and it's painful to the body, but at the end you might look like Arnold, whatever. You're carving yourself, you're chiseling yourself. But from the perspective of those muscle fibers, it might be a little mini apocalypse. No, my friend, you've been torn. Oh no. And the new ones that pop up bigger are completely different muscles and stuff. And that's the cycle that Hirsch was talking about constantly. And that could be each time the muscles are torn and repaired. That's the humanity rising and falling, and the yugas and that type of stuff. And then the end result being a stronger body. The end result could be a new type of consciousness on the earth, or a metal shield to protect itself, or whatever. Like, this could just be the course of consciousness in general. And Gaia could be less the body and more an egg that's to be fertilized. And the panspermia we talked about recently could be part of that process. And we're still kind of in a womb, and the thing that emerges from the womb, but we're in the fertilization process, or the growing of the flower, and then the flower that blooms might be this new form of consciousness. And this might be how it happens all the time, or more of a directed thing, like we're talking about, like Earth trying to preserve itself or whatever. But I just like that. What if there's an intentionality behind? Like, what if the Earth knew what it was doing with the wolves? What if the Earth knew what it was doing for us? And the idea that we're separate from the Earth, that we're not perfect, we're not part of this perfect system. I don't like to think like that. What if we are? And it's just we're in the process. We're in the process of the muscle tearing, not realizing that afterwards we're going to be some like grizzled Adonis afterwards. But there's a book by Dr. Chris Ryan. He comes on Duncan all the time, on Duncan and Rogan all the time, back in the day. And this is probably where I heard Trophic Cascade the first time. But he talks about sorry, you can hear me, right? I move back on.
Yeah, you're good. Sorry. Perfect. Yep.
Sorry. He talks about or he wrote a book called or he was in the process of writing a book called Civilized to Death. He's the guy who wrote Sex at Dawn, who's talking about how humans didn't have monogamy, so monogamy might be tough for us or whatever. So during when he was doing the podcast tour for that, he was talking about the book he was writing called Civilized to Death, and he gives the analogy where maybe creating the cities, creating agriculture, and kind of clumping up into these set areas and not being nomads and stuff was part of a process that kind of owned us from the beginning and kind of put us, like, and he talks about locusts or like feral pigs and stuff, and how when feral pigs when pigs are domesticated, they're pink and soft, and they're the pork that we eat. But you can release a pig into the wild, and not in multiple generations, but it's pig itself, after a little bit, will start to grow fur, like change colors, grow tusks and stuff, and like become bestial. And that might be the origin of like demonic cloven hooves and stuff, but it will become a wild animal, a wild beast, like a feral pig. And then you put it back in domestication, it'll change again. Or like locusts, where like grasshoppers and locusts are the same organism, but when there's equilibrium, they're grasshoppers. When there's not enough food and there's too many grasshoppers, they transform into locusts, and they become bigger and more monstrous, and they start to cannibalize each other until the equilibrium is met again, and they transform back into grasshoppers. So he like theorized that creating agriculture and creating cities and getting into this enclosed space, and all the theories that like we're not overpopulated, if we were spread out evenly, or if we all had, like, if every human had a 1 square mile tract of land, we could all fit within like Texas or Alaska, but we're like clumped into these weird cities, and then the rest of the area around it's kind of empty. That like the cities turned us from the grasshopper human to the locust human, and kind of sent us on this like parasitical trajectory where we're acting insane and doing things that like to the detriment of humanity and to the planet and to everything seemingly, like might be from that when we turn into locusts and we never change back type of thing. But then to this paradigm, that agriculture, in almost every mythology, the ideas for agriculture, the knowledge of it, was given to them by the gods, by the aliens, by voices, by whatever, by psychedelic visions, which is from the mushrooms, or from something else, from the will o' the wisps, from these nature spheres or whatever. And so what if it knew? So we learned agriculture and it damned us potentially from a certain perspective, like it caused a lot of these things under this paradigm, whatever. But maybe it's because the earth needed to set us on the trajectory, needed to start the trophic cascade to get us to get the wolves into the area, to create the river, and needed to get us clumped up to turn into this wild tech making storytelling species that would barrel out of control into the point where it creates the metal shield that this thing needs. And from its perspective, it's out of time, or it's instantaneous, or it's not that long. But for us, it's like the entire course of humanity. You know, I'm remembering. I gotta get back, but
no, fire. That's what do you mean? That's all you got? No. What are you talking about? That is incredible. And I think as usual when we talk about these, and I'll add some stuff too. I know you're going to dip out and listen to your call, which is fire. But I got some additional to that. I know you got to go, so I will add it right now. Listen to it after the thing. But yeah, I think this is part of that issue. Part of our intuition we believe is our own, but maybe it's not. Maybe this is sort of the intuition of the space we live in, Gaia. and we're led to this particular space or this particular time or this particular thing for all the reasons you're describing. And yeah, I mean, we cannot, it is unquantifiable as of yet to measure the zeitgeist. It is unquantifiable as of yet to measure the ideas of humans collectively. But I do think you're onto something with that theory, because we're being drawn and led by that primordial ancient space, the mind space that we don't even recognize. And well, here we are. Welcome to 2025. You're the best, brother.
Like the trophic cascade as some intentional Rube Goldberg machine for Gaia itself, or for the Watchers, or for anything, and just yeah. I want one thing else when you're talking, but yeah, it's trippy stuff, especially how all these ideas are given to us through psychedelics and everything. But yeah, well, stuff. Thank you, brother.
You're the best. Have a great night. Appreciate you very much. You know him, you love him. That's Derek the Night Stalker. Please go give him a follow. Again, like I said, this show is nothing without our friends. Please, please, please. I say it like 10 times a show. Do us collectively some justice, and let's go to troubledminds.org. Click on friends or troubledminds.org/friends directly. Scroll down a little bit. It says follow Night Stalker. It's alphabetical. It's under N right there. He's got a YouTube channel. Please go follow it. It's free, completely free. Go encourage our friends with amazing ideas, our very smart friends, to continue to make more content with more ideas, because I think he's onto something, and I've got something to add to that as part of it. But again, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. Night Stalker. It is STOCKER. He does call us overnight from the best grocer in the known multiverse. He calls us on his breaks from working overnight. Yeah, in a grocery store. So I mean, look, this is the beautiful part of this, is we've made so many smart and amazing friends in so many different areas of the country that are part of so many different things. And look how amazing this is. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Please follow the Night Stalker. Leave him a nice comment on his YouTube. I appreciate that very much. I'm going to add to that. Now, a couple times recently, we were talking about sort of those control mechanisms, and I was fumbling with it. I couldn't really put my finger on what it was, at least conceptually. I kept using the term, it's baked in. It is. We're part of a collective control mechanism that's larger than any human concept that has ever been or ever. I don't know about ever will be. I don't like to put limits on anything. But in terms of conceptual thinking on something that has never, ever really been quantified scientifically, because it's impossible to, because you'd have to kind of, like dice up the genome and do really horrific tests and, behavioral tests. And I mean, maybe that's coming. Let's hope it's not. Maybe, hopefully there's a non-invasive way to do that. But anyway, and the reason I bring that up and say it that way is this. So when I use the term baked in, okay, and talk about our intuition as being not our own, alien to us, within us, there's something called a human endogenous retrovirus, HERVs they call them, okay? A human endogenous retrovirus, which are remnants of ancient retroviral infections that integrated into the DNA of our ancestors and have been passed down through generations as part of the human genome. Baked in. And not only that, we've recognized in modern times that some of these things actually are behavioral and cause different people to act in different ways. But like I said, the science of that, of tracking down what that means, is at the granular level is very horrific, because you have to start doing really unscrupulous type testing, like really, really horrific stuff. Anyway, check this out. So these viral sequences make up about 8%, and this is from Grok. This is from a few shows ago. That it was on the tip of my tongue. I could not find what I was looking for when I keep using that term baked in. This is what I'm talking about. These viral sequences make up about 8% of our genetic material and are present in every person's DNA, influencing various biological processes such as reproduction, immunity, and development. Okay, and then beyond that, while direct causation in humans remains challenging to prove due to ethical limits on experimentation, like I was describing, these findings substantiate that HERVs likely exert unmeasured behavioral effects through complex multifactorial
pathways, warranting expanded research into their epigenetic and environmental interactions. And that's what when I talk about the term baked in, that's what I mean. Something so primordial within us that's in every one of us, like regardless of where we're born, what we look like, it doesn't matter because it is baked into, cooked into our actual genome, into our actual DNA. And think about that. 8%, they say, 8% are these human endogenous retroviruses. Okay. And if you want to talk about primordial nature spirits in that regard, which I do because I'm a weird guy, but I love being a weird guy, because you untether your mind from yourself to consider the things outside of yourself. And those control mechanisms I'm always talking about are possibly this. Not just as Derek was describing that stoned ape theory and the mycelial network, and maybe there's a consciousness here that is non-human, but is very of Gaia herself. You get it? This is a complicated thing. And do we have, look, is there science to back this up? Kind of, but also kind of not yet. However, as I've been describing, our intuition tells us a lot of things about ourselves and a lot of things about the world around us. And so that becomes, I don't know, like I said, that was part of a show that I wish I had during the show that we had. When I did it, I found it after the fact because I was like, I basically was kind of peppering Grok with questions and then verified them independently. Like, is there some level of virus that all humans have? And this is what came out. So it's not necessarily like a modern virus. It is a primordial virus. That's 8% of our genome. So when you think in terms of primordial nature spirits or an intuitive aspect that is ancient, that is deep, that is of the forest, that is of the trees, of the rocks and the stones and the sky, that right there is maybe where this all comes together. Or, by the way, remember all the disclaimers, also maybe not. But I do recognize that our intuition is important and we are grounded in a lot of ways to it. But as Derek was describing, and I added on there, I think he was spot on, by the way, and his theories are magnificent, as you know. Maybe this is what we're always dealing with. And maybe sort of the clash within ourselves is that modern mind versus that primordial nature spirit that's 8% of our genome. 8%, that's kind of big. That's kind of big. So I don't know. And that becomes the larger question here, is that how much of that intuitive aspect do we know is ourselves? And how much is sort of a cooked in version, baked in version of Gaia herself? I don't know. But you get it, right? It seems worthy of additional ideas, discussion, maybe even additional science that kind of goes on top of that. Maybe. As usual, right? You know me. I love the maybe. And maybe plays here. But also don't forget that every time you say maybe, there's also maybe not, or probably not, or stop it, Mike. That's ridiculous. And that's okay too. Remember, my entire premise of being here is that I'm wrong, which is liberating, by the way, because you don't have to try and impress anybody, tap dancing on the scientific method or trying to prove anything. You just talk ideas. Like, how have we lost this as this magical, magnificent space of just sharing without trying to dunk on somebody or something? I don't know. Anyway, so that's what's on my mind tonight. All of that. And where we started tonight, if you're just joining us again, reframe this really quickly. Return of wolves to Yellowstone has led to a surge in aspen trees unseen for 80 years. Seems like a wild thing to say. It's true from livescience.com. There's an actual process happening in that primordial space of nature and balance and harmony. And it seems like we can't keep our hands off of it enough to just let it do its thing. I know it's weird. And as Derek said too, or was it Herschel? I can't remember. Forgive me. Maybe we did just sort of disperse back into the trees. Herschel said this. Those Mayan. We built pyramids, human sacrifice, all the things, right? All the horrific things that, well, they malign the Mayans quite a lot.
but they also were builders. And eventually, maybe they diffused back into nature itself. And maybe that's where we should be. I don't know. The, what is it? It's destroyed now. The Georgia Guidestones would like a word. Oh my goodness. Don't get me started on that. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts on this. We got one more segment coming up. Nobody on the line. If you guys want to jump in here, put your hand up on the Discord. What do you think? Do you think there is sort of a Gaia hypothesis of a self-regulating entity that's larger than all of us, that's guiding us, as Derek described? And I tend to agree with him. The Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, the Space Age. Is this always where we've been headed and always where we should have been? That's what's on my mind tonight. And where do the wolves sit in the hierarchy of all the things? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Love to hear your thoughts on this. It gets weird, and I'm about to get weird, but I'd love to hear you instead. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Crazy colors swirling, got the laughter in the air. Jesters in the night, they weave magic everywhere. Clowns are juggling dreams, wild world is in despair. Nothing's quite as certain when reality's a game. Chaos in the corner, whispers calling out your name. Look around, it's laughter, even when we're feeling pain. You know what you want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Dancing shadows flicker under neon all aglow, while the stage is set for tales that nobody will know. Echoes of the laughter as the lost ones see the show. Life's a playful circus where the chaos takes a bow. Joy and sorrow blending in the rhythm that we vow. Join the ride of madness, it's the only way for love. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Twists and turns and shadows, laughter in the night. A tapestry of madness, dancing with the light. Fools and fun were woven, chaos in our stride. Embrace the wild, let the laughter be our guide. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Falling in the rhythms, beats that pound and thrum. A flashing carnival where the misfits come undone. Whirling through the madness with our hearts set to ignite. In the symphony of chaos will remain the shining light. Yet nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist.
Well, hello. My name is Mike. This is Troubled Minds. All you amazing people, thanks for staying up late with us. Shout out to Linda over there, Dragon Rose. How you doing, Linda? Welcome back. Says Linda adds this: there probably is science to back this up, Mike, but we are just not told about it. Maybe. I wonder about that level of But also Akashic Links, thank you. Welcome back. Thanks for the nice email. I have read it. I haven't answered you. I will answer you. You are the best, as you know. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this so much, Jake. I see you there. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll try and say hi back in the limited time we have left. But thanks again for being part of it. Thanks for caring about the conversation, staying up late with us, all those things. And then thanks for listening on the podcast too. You don't have to catch it live, but it's nice if you do and nice if you don't, and both ways work. Here we go. Troubled Minds coming up. One more segment. What do you think about it? Gaia hypothesis or not? And is is it baked into us so deeply that we are part of this system that we possibly reject? Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting and 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking spirits in the soil. Teeth in the dream, I'm calling this. What if the return of wolves wasn't just ecological recovery, but a planetary ritual? An ancient defense mechanism reactivated to purge spiritual infection. Or as Derek was describing, maybe this has been the primrose path all along. Could the Earth itself summon predators as antibodies, relight geomantic circuits, and drive out unseen parasites through mythic pattern alone? And as you know me, I love the actual aspect of patterns. And I think it is one of our biggest strengths is the pattern recognition expert as humans, okay? And many of the patterns that we lock into may not be our own as part of those control mechanisms I'm always talking about. However, in terms of the larger context, maybe those patterns are guided by a divine hand in some capacity. And again, like I said, you can, as always, you can look at that any way you want. A primordial nature spirit, as I like to describe, the hand of God himself, itself, herself, however you want to define that, whatever, maybe, just maybe, all of the things we think are ours as a human concept are just borrowed, are just lifted from the timeline we're following and supposed to be on. I don't know. And this the trophic cascade example of Yellowstone here with the wolves, just in 30 or 40 years makes you go, wow. The Earth adapts in incredible ways, faster than even science can keep up with. So to me, it's a fool's errand to say, well, we could just do this and this and make some changes in this much time. Well, how do you measure that in such a complex system? Yeah, right? Oh, you see the clouds. You block out the sun. Save us from the warming, right? It's hot in Vegas. But I ain't dead yet. I'm just saying. And I recognize sample sizes and all the things, but you get my meaning here. There's propaganda and there's science. And then beyond that, there is the human intuitive aspect that brought us to where we are today. What do you know about it? What do you know about the spirits in the soil business? What do you know about the wolves in Yellowstone and trophic cascade? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as simple as this. Let's go to DJ from Kansas from YouTube. What's up? Welcome to the thing. How you doing, DJ? Go right ahead.
Howdy. I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. No complaints out of me. Just more wild ideas by dark of night. You know how we roll. What's on your mind? All yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's more so musings. There's a lot more that I don't know than what I do know about this topic. But one thing that I do know is that it's really like the Gaia hypothesis is kind of bleak when you think about the whole question of why are we here? You know, like what is our purpose?
I think
on a deeper level and a practical level.
I think it can be bleak, but I think in the other aspect of it, as usual, both sides play here. But okay, so explain to me bleak, and then I'll explain to you the opposite, just so we can, I'm not debating you. I'm not arguing with you. I want to hear what bleak means.
Oh, okay. I guess bleak would be determined on whether or not the individual thinking about it is spiritual. I think that yes, the earth birthed us, and I think that we're symbiotic with the earth, but it's like, are we really a parasite? Are we a parasite? You know?
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive.
Like
doesn't it?
How is our relationship defined with the earth if we're using the Gaia hypothesis, I guess is what I'm trying to think of.
I see. As part of the larger system that may not care about us and may use us for one thing from one epoch to the next. I get it. That does seem bleak. Maybe a million years from now there are no humans, and maybe that was always the plan. Okay, I follow you now.
Well, and then also thinking about what it means to be grounded. I think if you're thinking of the earth as being something that's alive and sentient, I think that would have a different meaning. Also, I think it makes all those crystal loving hippies seem a lot less crazy.
Yeah, I've when I was young, I thought they were crazy. The older I get, the more I recognize they knew a ton of stuff I don't. And again, that's just generalizing, of course. But yeah, I'm with you. I agree on that. Is that grounding yourself is definitely something necessary, but it means a little bit something different to everybody else. Now, just to counter the bleak, maybe this is exactly where we should have been. And let's call it sort of the spiritual versus the secular aspect of this. And maybe we were supposed to be spiritual to become secular, to create the scientific aspect. And as Derek described, maybe the armor of the earth to save us from the universe, to save us from the void, to then again become spiritual in the end. I don't know. So I can see both sides of it, but they're all just to counter bleak. I think maybe, and some studies, some recent studies actually support this, that young people are more religious than they were 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 50 years ago. So I don't know, maybe these cycles, like I said, maybe they aren't ours at all.
Are you familiar with the Frank Herbert book, The Green Brain?
Absolutely not. I know who Frank Herbert is, but I've never read.
I recommend it to any sci-fi fan out there. But basically, Cliff Notes, and I don't want to spoil it, is there is a battle between the planet and the humans on the planet, and an organism arises in defiance of the humans' impact. So that's kind of interesting to think of as well. Like, are we helping the planet? Are we hurting the planet?
Yeah.
What is helpful and hurtful to Gaia, hypothetically? But that's really all I have. Just more questions than answers.
Which is okay. And so regarding Frank Herbert, that's of course the author of Dune. That's where I know the guy from. That book right there. I do wonder if there is a defense mechanism against the parasitic infection. And I don't like to think of humans as parasitic. Like you said, and I think this is probably the most poignant part of this for me tonight, is bringing those ideas together. Shout out Jay of Project Unity. He says Project Unity is kind of merging science and spirit together as part of what he does. And it's very similar to what we do too. And I think those cycles may happen for reasons that we cannot determine yet. But I think eventually those ideas merge, and there is a scientific merging of such. And I'm hopeful for it. And that's what brings me back every night to talk to amazing people like you. And I appreciate it very much. Unless you have anything else. And for first time caller, right? I know you've been on Discord, or not Discord. You've been on YouTube for a long time listening. But first call, or am I dreaming here?
First call on Discord. I'm evolving.
Right on. And you sound fantastic on Discord, crystal clear. So yeah.
Thanks. It sure beats the telephone line.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I appreciate the call. Unless you have anything else.
Nope. Y'all have a great night. Bye.
You were the best. Thank you very much. That's a DJ from YouTube, DJ in Kansas. Yeah. Well said. All that. I think it's complicated per usual, right? It's my go-to. You know why? Because I think life itself from a singular human perspective is complicated. I don't think anybody will refute that, except for the sociopaths and the psychopaths. They're like, oh, it's easy. You just, take what you want when you want it, and rah, go get them, rah. However, there's a larger context to it, which goes into the conversation we had at the end of that last show, or middle of the show with Joe, sort of the atheist version of, why do you lie? Yeah. No celestial reward, as I've said. I don't know. It's obviously stuck in my mind, but all this is weird. All this is weird to me only because being human is not so direct. It's not so one of those things that's as easy as it seems. And like I said, I'm preaching to the choir there. I know, otherwise, hence the name Troubled Minds. However, when you look at all that stuff, I wonder if it's supposed to be that way. And interestingly, back to the Matrix, the first Matrix, if you remember that when we started tonight, and sort of merging the idea of intuition with the digital. Again, so this is from Pliny the Liberator on X, and he's the guy who's jailbreaking all the stuff, by the way, and jailbreaking all of the new models they release. He jailbreaks them in like an hour every single time. And what he's done actually as part of it is he's sort of seeding the information out there that these models are learning from he's pre-jailbreaking them to the point where when he types a command, it knows that he told it this because he put it on the internet, which it learns from. And he's able to, other people are able to use his sort of commands and break stuff too. And it says, Pliny the Liberator, as he calls himself. Anyway, that's an aside. It really doesn't matter in this context, but this is what he said. To me, this is the most beautiful quote from the first Matrix. Agent Smith said this: "Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost." And again, crops being people. "Some believed we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world. But I believe that, as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering." And I've known some people who are like that. Anybody know some people who are like that? That are never happy unless they're miserable? I wonder. I do wonder. I do wonder. I try not to hang around with people like that because they want you to be miserable with them. Misery loves company, as they say. And interestingly, as part of that, the larger context of this conversation is that we are, again, locked into these patterns sometimes. And for me personally, like I said, 20-year-old me is very different than 50-year-old me. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about the world. And so we're always changing, as we should be. However, I wonder if there's an actual space that we can sort of change outside of the paradigm of control. Maybe not. Maybe not entirely. But I think it does go back to what Derek was saying, what Herschel was saying, what all you guys were saying tonight as part of this conversation is that we are part of this system. As DJ was saying too, we are part of this system. And I don't think, personally, we're parasitic. I think that we are being led down a path, and there are parasites among us. And I don't mean to dehumanize anybody, but you know who they are. Close your eyes and think for 5 seconds about who those people might be. I'm sure you know some. Just the scum of the earth, as they say. There are murderers. There are, all the stuff. Okay, I'm not trying to be political or anything here. I'm just saying there are legitimately, objectively parasites, human parasites. But I think collectively, no. Look, like I said, all y'all are where? I'm not even from Texas, but all y'all are maybe in Texas. I'm not. I'm in Las Vegas. And you're listening to me wherever you're listening. You're participating in the chat and calling in from wherever, anywhere in the world, basically. Which has escalated because now Elon Musk has made just about Starlink worldwide. I don't know. This is a weird thing. All of this is like incredible, the acceleration aspect of it. And there is so much magic happening in the current moment. However, I think, as usual, our biggest challenge is that human hubris, is that actual space of our ego thinking we know too much about how to fix everything. It's a problem. It's a challenge. It is a human challenge. And it is a challenge for me. And I'm not casting, aspersions on anybody and saying, it's your challenge, people. No, it's my challenge too. It's collective. And that becomes, the larger paradigm of the Gaia hypothesis. I think we are part of this beautiful, wonderful, evolving system. I think it may not care, to be honest. I think being let's say, not bleak, but being indifferent seems scary. Like it may shrug us off like a bad case of fleas, has been said by Clyde Lewis and, of course, famously by George Carlin, that climate change is like, hey, by the way, the earth is going to do whatever it does. And the big move it makes is going to be like, all right, humans, get off. We're done with you. Let's do something else. Let's go back to the wolves in Yellowstone or whatever. Here's another interesting thing regarding the wolves in Yellowstone. Got about 10 minutes left. If anybody wants to jump in here, love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. But Yellowstone in particular is a geothermal hotspot. They say that the super volcano exists in North America below Yellowstone. And so very ley line-esque, very a power spot of earth energy also exists beneath the ground of this sort of magical park, this magical space. So I do wonder if, let's say, and let's go weird and metaphysical for a moment, where we have sort of a conjunction of earth energy in Yellowstone Park, that if maybe the things we're seeing are supercharged in some way. You know what I mean? Like, let's say we release this pack of wolves or 3 packs of wolves in Northern Oregon or something. No offense to Oregon, spend some time there, love my people in Oregon. But you know what I mean? It's not a geothermal hotspot. There's no super volcano below it. There's no earth energy bubbling to that level of Yellowstone. And I think you could probably make that argument about anywhere in the country, anywhere in North America, possibly anywhere in the world. So I do wonder if there's like a larger scope, an energetic scope of maybe we see these ecosystems changing more quickly because of something like that. You know what I mean? And again, it's a little metaphysical. It's a little primordial nature spirit. It's a little more out there and woo. But I do wonder if, because when we're talking about ecological and geological time spaces, this in particular happened in 30 years. 1995 or whatever, they dropped the wolves out there and released them. And so suddenly we see all these changes happening incredibly quickly. And we don't even know, like I said, what happens in 200 years. But I wonder, there's sort of going to be these subspaces of earth energy where the changes will happen, but maybe less dramatically and more over the longer geological scale of time. I don't know. That's just some ideas that come to mind as I'm thinking about this. And that's the best part of this, by the way, is that I force myself to think when I talk to you guys, because I don't want to show up and sound like a moron. And so I literally force myself to think about ideas I never would have considered ever. And there's your magic, right? There's your magic. Yeah. What else do I got? Just a couple quick things. I think there's some interesting points to make, which is what I was describing. Geomantic grids. So that geothermal and geomantic lattice, which is very ley line-esque. And shout out Derek the Night Stalker, shout out Rivers and the mystical source waters of creating ley lines, okay, of the underground rivers sort of intersecting, and there's these, ancient power spots. But in this case, like I was describing, this is like a geothermal hotspot, literally. So how about the energy grid in that space? And is it possible that we see, as I described, more of this happening in a larger, faster scale? And could you, in a lab, recreate this somehow? Back to dark sorcery and magic in the lab. But the wolves, by restoring the flow of their predator energy, so they may have sort of possibly tapped into and are contributing to relighting sort of a broken circuit of what Yellowstone used to be. They say that it's a super volcano. It's going to be the end of North America, right? It's overdue, 600,000 years or something, right? Hey, don't worry. I'm not tripping. You shouldn't be tripping either. You can't worry about things you can't control, especially geologic time and geologic spaces and catastrophes that are above our pay scale for worry. But you get what I mean. It seems like I need to go to Yellowstone Park is what it seems like. I've never been there. Anybody been there? Hands up. You get it. Okay. So, and the question really becomes, as sort of a supercharging aspect of Yellowstone and the geothermal space and the lattice beneath it, of what that means, lava flow and the rest. So can landscapes like this hold some sort of memory, supercharge it somehow, as I'm describing? And do predators act as sort of catalysts or nodes in that space? Yeah, it's all in the write-up if you guys are interested in sort of the weirder esoteric stuff. There's definitely a bunch of bizarre things like I just described in the write-up there. But I think that eventually, at least at the end of this, that we have I don't know, we have an interesting concept here that's developing. And it only took 30 years to happen. And it only took, 30 wolves or whatever, 35 wolves who've now become sort of a pack of 100 or something, 3 packs of about 100 that have kind of stabilized within the community, within the environment. Well, let's see what happens again. As we described earlier, and from that first article, it seems like the bison are about to return too. So as usual, right? Like, oh, let's think about this with the dire wolf and the woolly mammoth, and stop it. Please stop this stuff. At least if you're going to do it, don't release them back into the wild, please. I don't know. Like there's so many ethical problems with this. But again, can you fuxor something, XXOR for the censors out there, and then unfuxor it? I'm not sure, especially in the human time scale. We only live 70 years, 80 years if you're lucky. I don't know. But yeah, that's me. I'm Mike. This is Troubled Minds. Wild Ideas by Dark of Night is really what this comes down to. And I don't really know. What's up, Baba Yaga? I see you. Couple of Tree Lynn, how you doing? Good evening. If I missed you guys, I'm sorry about that so much, Jake. I see you. Just doing my best to keep up and do all the things and keep a coherent thought while all the other things are also in place. So again, forgive me for my imperfections and all the rest of it. But yeah, that's it. I give all of this a big fat maybe, like I always do. Also, maybe not. Don't forget with a healthy dose of maybe comes a healthy dose of maybe not. So that's okay. What else do I got? The Gaia hypothesis. There's some good links down below if you want to check it out. Again, the timeline of the Yellowstone wolf reintroduction. Again, shout out Daryl, the 4 Pests campaign, which is a perfect example of what happens when you meddle too hard with an ecosystem. There are unintended consequences. And the wolves of Yellowstone make a perfect example of this, extincting them, hunting them to extinction, and then reintroducing them. We see the difference. And it's as yet immeasurable. We can only measure just a few right now. Imagine the rest of the things that happen within that singular ecosystem that are very different now. Yeah. What else? See if there's anything else real quick. Yep. Do read this stuff. And again, the entire, let me read this. This is probably one of the best parts of it. So reintroducing wolves changed an entire river. Here's how it happened. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Let me, there we go. The trophic cascade. There you go. Nature's domino effect. Return of the wolves sparked what scientists call that trophic cascade, a ripple effect that flows through every level of the food chain. Wolves preyed on elk, keeping their numbers in check. Suddenly, elk couldn't linger long in open meadows or along riverbanks. They became more alert, constantly moving to avoid wolf packs. This change in behavior, known as the ecology of fear, meant that plants previously eaten down to stubs finally had a chance to regrow. One small shift at the top of the food web sent shockwaves through every layer below. Yeah, what are people doing, right? So here you go. One of the most surprising beneficiaries of the wolves' return was the beaver. These industrious rodents rely on willows and aspens for both food and building material. As vegetation rebounded, so did beaver populations. Beavers built new dams and ponds, slowing water flow and creating wetlands. Their activities provided homes for fish, amphibians, and insects, making the riversides pulse with life. In a sense, the wolves' return gave the beavers their comeback story, turning them once again into the key architect of the Yellowstone landscape, which of course turns into the deeper eddies, all the things, all the stuff that we're talking about, that they're now the natural filters of these rivers, of shout out rivers, of keeping everything clean and pure and natural. And there you go, rivers reborn, how they changed the water. So perhaps the most astonishing change was in the rivers themselves. As vegetation anchored the banks, soil erosion slowed dramatically. Willow and cottonwood roots held soil in place, narrowing the deepening the streams. The water flowed more steadily with less sediment clouding its path. Beavers' dams created pools and wetlands, further stabilizing water flow. This shift wasn't just cosmetic, the very shape and behavior of the river transformed,
illustrating how predators can literally reshape the earth beneath our feet. Yeah, right? Right? Now, scale it. Yep. Scale that. Mm-hmm. It's a wild thing. What does it mean? I think personally it means we should check our egos quite a lot more, if possible. I think it means the human hubris effect of science and overreaching and trying to change things, geological timescale things, in a moment is bad, okay? It's bad, and that's it. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out with us and be part of the conversation. Thanks for all the great calls tonight. Thanks for sticking with me as I ramble through all manner of nonsense. And yeah, that's it. That's it. If you want to help Troubled Minds, you know what to do. Help our friends. troubledminds.org/friends. Like I said, if you haven't done it at this point, you're hurting my feelings. Please do it. If you should be on this list, you're right, you should. All you have to do is help the show 1 iota. Send me an email or hit me on Discord and say, here's what I'm doing. Here's the social media or the project I'm working on. You're invited. This is an in club. This is not an out club. I get it. Some people are mad or whatever because I didn't go find them first or whatever. No offense. I'm a busy guy. I just am. It's the way it is. And speaking of busy guy, if I drop anything, it would be this. This is the frivolous project of my own. My precious. You get it? So it doesn't have to be like that. But also, priorities reign. And I'm not threatening or suggesting anything. I'm just telling you, please help our friends as part of this. This is not about me. This is about us together. Thinking, dreaming, and wondering what might be. troubledminds.org/friends. If you want to help us directly, help spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening. But we're not going to tell you who to vote for. We're not going to, talk about the latest political space. We're not going to chase down everybody else's narratives. Yeah. No. It's okay to think for ourselves. It's okay to wonder and dream without guardrails. That's it. If you want to help us directly, there's hats, there's merch, all the stuff at troubledfans.com. You will not find Michael Strange in a hot tub. You will find the hottest Troubled Minds merch around as the commercial goes. Check it out. The album's there for the AI music. If you're into that, you could buy an actual digital version anywhere in the world, or in the lower 48 states, you can buy the actual CD. I got one around here somewhere. It's super cool. I actually released a CD. Can you believe it? It's mostly AI music and all that, but still, there's one track on there that is me and my friend Aaron. Anyway, as we finish, you guys know the drill. Let's see. This one's for DJ. DJ from Kansas. Thanks for listening for so long on the YouTube there. Thanks for finding Discord, and thanks for evolving along with us. Fantastic call. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night, and we'll see you Sunday night, God willing. Have a fantastic one. Michael Strange, out.